G'day everyone, my name's Heath, this is the Initia-Tea-Ve and thank you ever so much for joining me today. This is episode 4 of Roll for Initia-Tea-Ve. This is a double episode. I have bitten off more than I can chew, and I'm going to chew like crazy. I have got more than a few people joining me today. There's a few running late, a few coming later. I've got a few waiting in the wings there in the green room enjoying their cocktails. This is Roll for Initia-Tea-Ve, and sorry I'm late because I just realized I didn't have a cup of tea with me, and you cannot have Roll for Initia-Tea-Ve without a cup of tea. Cheers. It's still a little bit hot, that's how fresh it is. So today, normally we go for maybe 60 minutes, maybe an hour and a half. Today we're probably going to hit the 2-hour mark, depending on how long everyone wants to hang around, how boring my questions are, and how many other things my guests have got to do. This is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be a nervous wreck for me, so here we go. I have no particular order joining me today, hopefully. I have Carlos from Casl Entertainment. I have Brandon from RealmSmith. I have Michael from Dead Aussie Gamer. I have Casey from Wizco Games and GaryCon. I have Stefan and Anne from Dwarven Forge. And I have Stephen from Troll Lord Games. Now, like I said, some of them are waiting in the wings. Some are joining us later. Without further ado, I am going to invite them on with me.
Perfect.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
I was just getting myself and Stefan some tea also.
Got our tea.
I have carbonated tea that is not quite tea.
There we are. All righty. So we've got 6 people joining us. That's good. That's great. We've got 2 watching on Twitch, 4 watching on Facebook. No one watching us on YouTube just yet, but we've only just started. Here we go. Anyone who watches as per normal formats, if you throw any questions at the platform you're watching, they gather here on StreamYard, and I'm able to then address them and put them to our guests. So let's have a look here. Looks like I've got all green lights here. Looks like we're definitely going out on Facebook. We're definitely going out on YouTube, and we're definitely going out on Twitch. So I think we're ticking boxes so far. Yeah. How are we all?
Well, it's good to be here.
Really good. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. The chat.
Virtually here. I mean, we're actually here, not there, and yet we're there. I don't know. Depends how you look at it.
I go to
I'd
my
be remiss if I didn't wish you a happy Australia Day, Heath.
Yes, it is. It is Australia Day here in Australia. Public holiday, bank holiday, call it what you will. Yes, and an interesting day nonetheless. Sort of celebrating being Australian. There is a little push for it to be on another day, and I will leave that to the powers that be to figure that out. But as today is Initia-Tea-Ve Day.
The holiday we can all get behind.
Alrighty, so first of all, Carlos, thank you very much. I still use this hat. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Next time we gotta get you. We gotta hook you up with a Casl Entertainment shirt. Next time you come down.
I'll be happy to. You mean one of these branded shirts?
One of those guys. Yeah, absolutely, man.
Dear. Alrighty. So let's see. So maybe we'll start with Carlos. Casl Entertainment. Casl being a very clever anagram of your name, and it also pertains to Dungeons and Dragons and many other game aspects.
Yeah.
Where did this come about?
Well, it actually came about at GaryCon. I remember I saw that Alan Grohe, one of my dearest friends, one of the guys I respect most in the Greyhawk community, because that's gaming for me is the world of Greyhawk. For Dungeons and Dragons anyway, and I wanted to get involved in a game of his, and I did, and I had a great time at GaryCon, and I thought, I'm coming back, I'm driving home, and all I could think about is next year I'm coming back, and I want to run a game for Alan. Now, I'm one of those kind of guys that like you said earlier, you bite off more than you can chew with a project. So I'm writing this dungeon, and I'm thinking to myself, wouldn't it be cool if I kind of, made it like kind of an official, had a key there, that I could show everybody when it's over with. I get a little bit further. Wouldn't it be cool if I had a cover? Well, wouldn't it be cool if it was published? Wouldn't it be, and next thing I know, I've got this 75-page book in my hand. And I'm at GaryCon, and just things lined up the perfect way. I mean, I gangstered one of the tables that are meant for the VIPs. I got there really early in the morning and nobody was using it, so I acted like I'd been there a million times before, like I was supposed to be there. And next thing I knew, I had a table of 14 people, including Luke Gygax, running in my game. And this was supposed to be a spur of the moment thing. Alan was not one of them, funnily enough, but after the game was over, I showed everybody the module. Everybody had a great time, and they were like, "Where can I buy this? This is awesome." And I'm thinking to myself, I can't believe you guys want to buy this. So one thing led to another, and I started publishing my own modules, and we've got 20 some modules right now. I just put the finishing touches on our 21st last night. This has been in about a 3-year period of time, so we're going pretty fast right now. I've got a successful Patreon that I run with it. I'm really excited about the way things are going for the company. And the Castle Entertainment thing, my initials, I'm Carlos A.S. Lysing, so that's Casl, my initials. And the Raven thing comes from the fact that I've got black hair, and I had my life saved by a Raven one time, but that's another story. I was getting ready to cross the street after work. I was dead tired. I wasn't thinking straight, and all of a sudden this bird came and it landed right in front of me, this big black crow, and it looked up at me, those bee little eyes, and just stared at me. And I just kind of stopped, and as soon as I stopped, this truck went whizzing right by the road in front of me. Wow. And I would have gotten hit for sure by it if this bird hadn't stopped. And the truck went flying by, and it just still stood there and stared at me. And after the truck was gone, it flew away like, okay, my work here's done.
Wow.
But the bird didn't get hit?
No, the bird didn't get hit. Just landed like right in front of me, like about 5 feet in front of me, between me and the road. So
okay, kept you going in the road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. So yeah, it stopped me from going in the road. I ended up so ever since then, I've been a big admirer of crows and how smart they are, and it's become the symbol for my, the rook on top of a rook, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a very cool pick.
Oh, thank you. One of our artists, Jade Hilliard Simpson, did that for us, and I couldn't be more pleased to have her, working on our stuff.
You would love to see our house. We have crows all in the trees around it. We feed them just about every day.
You have a veritable menagerie.
I am a big aficionado of crows. I've done a lot of reading and research on crows and corvid behavior ever since that happened. And so yeah, I would absolutely love to see that sometime. Maybe when PaizoCon or something comes up.
You're in Seattle, if they come by.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. They do Congress in the neighbor's tree every morning, and then they split up into 3 groups and go in 3 separate directions. So it's like they discuss the morning assignments and then get there.
Well, you might be surprised. They actually probably are discussing it. They're very social animals, and they have the ability to transfer information between each other in a network, in a social network that's pretty amazing when you do the research on it. Yeah. If you wrong a crow, not only does it remember your face, it tells all of its friends, and all the crows locally will. If your car gets pooed on and everything all over the place, they will collectively seek revenge.
So
my grandmother in a little coastal town about 60 miles to the south of us took pity on a crow that had like a little gammy foot. And she just began feeding it. It turned out one day she began feeding it, and I reckon she's been feeding this thing for 8-10 years. And it's not only she now has this crow, she's got like 2 other crows. She's got 3 willy wagtails that you can hand feed as well. And I'm like, hey, you shouldn't be doing this. She goes, they're my company. I'm like, okay, no worries. But yeah,
when I was visiting my in-laws in Australia, you guys have some really cool birds. I was my wife's mom goes outside and she feeds the magpies and the butcher birds and the CWA birds all the time. So it's really cool. I think they're very carnivorous, though. They like meat. I wasn't aware of that.
Now, speaking of your trip to Australia, now
are we going to talk about the time I almost died over in Fiji too? Now, are we talking about Carlos' near-death experiences?
No. We're not talking about almost dying. We're talking about saving. Okay. So a little bit of deep diving I did. You first started playing First Ed in the late 70s.
I did.
Casl Entertainment is responsible for the production of 18 modules, one of which is a charity support for cheetahs.
Oh, yeah. We just finished that module, as a matter of fact. When I was a little boy, I was obsessed with speed. I learned to play hockey from a very young age. And the very first time my dad took me out there to skate, I'd had no lessons or anything like that. So all I could do while the other kids were whipping around me was I just stood there in the middle of the ice and cried because I couldn't move. And I think the whole experience was so formative on me that I became obsessed with not being helpless like that anymore. So I asked my mom and dad, I'm like, what's the fastest animal out there? Because I loved animals. And they're like, oh, cheetahs. So I wanted to see cheetahs. So ever since then, that was kind of my animal, even though I do the crow thing so much. The Cheetah Conservation Fund has been something I've supported for many years, whether it be through adopting cheetahs of my own or going to the various fundraisers like the Run for the Cheetah here in Cleveland or going down to Columbus for their luncheon. But the module that we just did is what's called Tears That Forever Stain right over here. That is our, we did a...
Cheetahs. I see cheetahs.
Yeah, absolutely. Take a look. Here's on the back. Here's your were cheetahs.
Oh,
Cheetah.
cool.
Yeah, thanks. But anyway, this is about a 100-page module that we did. I had 11 games in 7 days that I ran. The shortest was 3 hours. I'm still recovering from that, even though it was the top of the year. But I had an old hockey coach that used to tell me that if you care about something, you'll find a way. And I found a way. But we did about $3,000 for Cheetah Conservation Fund, which I'll be pleased to give to the charity for that. And if anybody who wants to go to caslentertainment.com and buy the module, all the profits from it go directly to the Cheetah Conservation Fund. You may notice in the bottom corner that we've got their logo on it. I partnered with the Cheetah Conservation Fund. This is an official thing that that we're partners in this together. So. This module features some original cartography from Glenn Seal, who does work for the great guys over at Northwind Games and Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea. Say that 3 times fast. And it's got all kinds of beautiful. The cover art and the back cover art were done by Daniel Govar. He also does the interior art. So. To me, it's the most beautiful thing we've ever personally done. And Heath, that link that you just threw up there on Twitch, caslentertainment.com, if the folks go to caslentertainment.com/charity, they can donate directly to the CCF through there or buy the module through there. Usually I don't like to, I'm not a very self-promotional person. I don't care if you buy anything that I do. I mean, if you do, that's wonderful. I'm gratified by it, and I'll love you forever. But the truth is, that is one thing I do like to push because it's not for me. They often say that the measure of who you are as a person is what you do for people that can't help you, that can't do anything for you.
Absolutely.
We control the economy in the world. We control the environment to some degree. We have a responsibility to take care of the animals of the planet, because if we're going to take control of these things, then we have a responsibility to help them. And that is if all of us gamers collectively do just a little bit, to do the things for the charities or for the causes that we care about, we can change the world. And that's the one I chose. That's my goal.
Absolutely. So we'll leave you there for just a moment, Carlos. And
I'm sorry, I didn't mean the monologue, guys.
No. Perfectly fine. As the host, I need to sort of make sure everyone's got a mix, and we're going to come back and we'll bounce between everyone. Absolutely. Otherwise, have people sitting around, twiddling their thumbs, waiting. So, Stefan and Anne, thank you very much for joining us as well. So, for those who don't know, Dwarven Forge is a flagship, a premier in the terrain industry. Globally. I've done a little bit of deep diving here. So, Stefan, a huge influence in your life, we would say, was your father. He was a Czech architect.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes,
and he was quite prominent in New York.
Yes. Well, he was an immigrant. And my father was an immigrant from Czechoslovakia. At the time, it was called Czechoslovakia, and now it's the Czech Republic. My mother came from Rome, Italy, another immigrant.
Beautiful place. Both of them beautiful places.
I was born in Korea, South Korea, and adopted by a Czech father and Italian mother. Story of immigrants coming to America.
Your story is really remarkable, Stefan. For anybody who watches the Dwarven, your movie, it's.
I was just about to say,
what I was just about to say.
Oh, well, look right here.
there you go.
How's that for shameless advertisement? The Dwarven.
I can't complain. I did it too.
So classically trained painting, sculpting. Mum and dad come from backgrounds of art and visually spectacular things, and it was probably of no wonder to them that you moved into painting and sculpting. And then in '96, Dwarven Forge was established.
Yes.
And I believe you wanted to create a modular terrain system that was ready to use out of the box. And I believe before you came up with Dwarvenite, it was called Polystone.
It was resin, made out of resin. And oh, look at that.
Resin,
resin, hand painted with felt on the bottom. Resin, I sculpted the walls, and
some cool pieces like this.
Oh yeah, here's the piece that has the oh, look at that. The swinging log trap.
Oh wow.
That's the swinging log trap. And
anyone but a halfling's not having a good day.
It actually has a trap, a thingy on
wow.
it.
As long as your mini is made out of metal.
That's some of the stuff we came up with.
The quality is through the roof, man. Is through the roof.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And so countless Kickstarters. Whenever you get a new idea for a new piece of terrain or a new thing, you're still giddy as a school kid when it comes to getting that idea out into something tactile and tangible?
Well, now in the beginning I was like a sort of a one person show, but now I have a whole team. There's like, I think around 25 people in the office back in New York. I've moved to Seattle.
In the office, and around the
They have
country.
and there are also remote sculptors all over the country. And what they do when they have a Kickstarter, they fly in, or they take a train, or they take the subway, or whatever they are. They come in, and we have like a workshop. There's a workshop, and they come in every day in the office, and we have like meetings, and everyone says, I think we should do this. I think we should do that. It went from kind of like a dictatorship to now a democracy.
Yeah.
So there's all this, and I will come in remotely with the video, right? And everyone says, I think we should do this. I think we should do that. What?
But this is something that he just made recently.
Yes, and again, it's like you guys are reading my mind for segues here. So the latest sculpt comes from a trip with Satine Phoenix to Iceland for Destination Fantastic.
Yeah, we just
and
showed the thing.
Getting the link to watch that a couple of days ago. I mean, the Destination Fantastic. You could not have picked two better words that work together for where you went and what you saw and what you did, because it was fantastical.
That makes me so happy, because you don't know how long we tried to come up with a good name. Like, oh my God, it was like.
Now, is it pure coincidence that the two initials are shared between Dwarven Forge and Destination Fantastic?
Oh, it's a pen, yay! It's total coincidence.
You're a backer.
Yeah,
my wife backed the show for sure.
We actually do not like the fact that it shares the same initials.
Oh, okay.
It just happens to be that way, and so we constantly get it confused. Now we can't just say DF because people don't know what we're talking about.
And also talking about the stars, we can't say SP because Stefan Pokorny, Satine Phoenix.
Yes.
I can totally go with that. My sister and I, right down to middle initial, share the same initials. So growing up, and you had to mark things growing up, we couldn't use our initials as shorthand, because even if you went to middle initial, it was still the same. So you had to write out your first name in length. Not that my first name's anything long, but we couldn't get away with initials on things. It's like I completely understand how that can get confusing.
If you come up with a product called casl in layers and you call it casl, I'm coming after you.
I don't know if they'll call it a castle, but they'll probably go to one if the show goes.
Oh, I can't wait. It'll be fun.
We're very excited. Legion M is now in our corner, and they brought Mandy and Tolkien and Arch Enemy with Joe Manganiello, and they got a lot of sway. With them shopping us around, I think we got a good chance.
The high hopes.
High hopes.
Yeah,
we have to keep that secret for the longest time.
I think like I put a tweet out within minutes of finishing watching it. The way it was presented, the natural way that you and Satine worked together. I even love the fact that Satine was late getting there, and you said it was because she was helping to host a charity.
That's what happened.
Yeah, Jasper's game day. Yeah.
That sort of thing, like it shows the human side of both of you as hosts, that hey, we've got this thing, we've got money that's been set for this, but we've made a promise for a charity. I need to do this, and I'll catch up with you later. And seeing you guys run up to each other, big hug on the black sandy beach, that sort of brings. It's not just a black and white cut documentary about Iceland. It shows that it's a real voyage of discovery, a place where myths and legends and the prose edda, seeing an ancient text that was directly impactful upon this industry that we love. And there it is right there. It's like it's like almost like the holy grail of gaming.
Bible for fantasy. Yeah. That was the first time we saw her coming. Like, she came right from the plane, no jet lag, and she's running down the beach, and like, Stefan, wait here. Satine's going to come running down the beach. Okay, get ready. Camera's rolling. And that was it, one take, like, wow, hey.
Yeah, there was no green room on set. It was it's raining, and keep going.
And you were there as well? You were there for that as well?
I was assisting Stefan on set, so I was tagging along with the production.
What you don't realize is there was a handful of people around all the time, staying out of the way of the camera, because they didn't want the director.
We have a camera.
They didn't want it to look like there's a bunch, like that's with any set, right? But it's a small team.
Yeah, it was 9 people, including the cast. It was a very small crew.
But it wasn't 9 people there all the time.
I've noticed with documentaries that if the team and the crew, the director, really know their stuff, the way something's shot, you as the audience become that third person there. So 2 days ago, it was Stefan and Satine in Iceland, and I was standing there with them, to the point where some scenes I was feeling cold, and I'm sitting here, and I kid you not, 2 days ago we had a 40-degree day, and I'm sitting here feeling cold, because watching the way this production team have put this together and how it's been cut together, I was there, and I was cold. That's how good it was, guys.
I was cold too. We were cold.
I dressed you in so many layers. What do you
We had so many layers. It was like cold and then hot, because you were either cold, and then when it wasn't cold, you were immediately hot because you were wearing so much stuff. It was fun. It was fun.
Now I see now,
but it was a difficult thing to do.
They were pretty long days. They worked very hard.
And getting up at 6 in the morning. I'm not a morning person.
I think that's half of why he wanted me there, to make sure he got out of bed.
She made sure I was ready all the time, and then at night after the shooting, that I didn't go down a rabbit hole and drink too much beer and not wake up.
How was that Black Death, that schnapps?
Oh my God.
Ooh.
You go back to Iceland and have some of that.
Yeah.
I think when we're watching you and Satine have the platter of traditional fare, I think, and I was there with you watching all the different and the schnapps. I'm like, I probably would enjoy that more than anything on the plate myself as well.
I dreaded it, and I said to Josh, when we do this, you're not gonna make me eat any shark, any of that crazy stuff. He's like, oh no, don't worry about it. Of course, they made me do it. You know, twice. We did it twice at 2 different locations. One location, you didn't even make it into the thing.
And which is a pity because it was really cool. They had this whole museum about the Prozetta and the stories.
He showed the museum.
For briefly. And
but he didn't show
a different
the old
museum.
guy was talking and everything.
Yeah, the old guy was talking.
And we had an axe throwing.
Yes.
I beat the guy, the instructor, the axe throwing instructor. And then we had a little game, and I won. I beat him.
And he was weird.
All of that needs to be extras on the DVD or Blu-ray because a lot of that stuff is
spoiler.
When I watch a movie, I've got it on DVD or Blu-ray or something. One of the things when I finish watching, I go and find all the extras. What's the stuff that didn't make it? What's the behind-the-scenes stuff? What's the video diary? Like there was a little, I can't remember if it was a video diary or just a diary, but Joel, I can't remember his name, who played the little kid in Gladiator. He had a diary, and he even features about Oliver Reed passing during the filming, and it was interesting to go through this young actor's behind the scenes thoughts of this mega movie being made. So all those sorts of things, put them in there. Don't leave them on the cutting room floor.
Well, you know, it's amazing because you go into a volcano. It takes you like all day, and then you see the episode, and it's like 30 seconds. It's wild, you know.
Yeah, it was a brutal walk across this plain. I think it was about a mile to get to the base camp before you went up the hill to the volcano, which happily is mostly underground, but apparently there's some insane amount of plane crashes, more than anywhere else in the world, that have all happened right there on that plain. And because there's such huge winds all the time. And when we came back from the volcano, it was like Marcel in a wind tunnel. We were literally bent over at the waist, like walking.
Wind is hitting us.
I was like, I'm not going to make it. I was like, what if I go down? Who's going to carry me? Nobody else can have extra strength at this point. But we made it, thank God.
Yes, Brandon.
They've been in the inside of a volcano. It
was nuts.
That just begs to be a module right there.
we even did a
volcano. Like you've got fire and ice right there. That could be so many. You could have so many different elementals. You could even put in a 2-headed crocodile if you like.
Why not? We make them. Yeah.
We didn't have to cross a stream on the way there, so hey.
Yeah. And what was I going to say? Oh, Satine. We're in the volcano, and Satine made the whole film crew say, we're not leaving till I sing this song. And then she made us go and sing the song.
Misty Mountain from The Hobbit.
From the Hobbit.
Dwarf song.
Oh, wow. That would have been very
cool. She had it memorized, but I did my best. But we filmed that. That didn't make it in the final cut. But maybe, like you say, maybe in the extras, the Blu-ray disc with extra features.
I've just knocked out my cable for my headset.
So we got Brandon over here. Brandon, wait, are you in Hawaii or Fiji? What is that?
It's the background that I used on the live stream today in our episode.
All right,
but yeah, it's nice. It's definitely warmer than it is here in Canada.
Destination fantastic, right there.
Perfect.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Very nice.
Alrighty. So, welcome, Brandon.
Thank you. It's great to be here. It's good to see you all. Nice to meet you, Carlos and Anne. Stefan, it's great to see you again. It's been like 2 years since we had pizza. So, yeah.
Cold pizza now.
It would be now.
Go for some cold pizza right now.
Yeah,
that does sound pretty great.
Not 2-year-old cold pizza, but
right. One day maybe.
Now, before before we jump into introducing Brandon to everyone, I just wanted to say, Jonathan.
I want to interject very quickly about something.
Go for
Only
it,
another gamer could recognize the sound of dice hitting the table like that when Brandon moved. Only another gamer could. I know every single one of us was. That's dice right there.
Now, can you tell which die that was?
I'm going to guess from the clatter that was an 8-sider.
Close. It was a D6.
Okay, it was had to be a lower number.
Yeah, I counted as a win.
Talking right there.
Why are you rolling? Are there wandering monsters coming? Or what?
It just switched over from the game. I just had to put my dice to the side. But yeah. So, it's good.
Alrighty. We've got Jonathan Bingham in New Zealand saying hello. So we've just got to pop that up, say hello. G'day.
Hey.
And we've had Brett Simpson, who's here in Australia, put up a post saying, wishing to thank Stefan.
Wow.
Stefan is one of the major inspirations for my Brighthaven campaign setting. I first saw him on the D&D Experience documentary, and his words really drew me in. He reminded me of the great people I gamed with in the 80s. When he shared his DM journals with their amazing maps and detail, I knew I needed to share what was in my imagination with the world again. Thanks, Stefan.
Oh, yay.
Thank you.
So,
that is awesome.
Brett's got an art form in his sketching for characters and maps that really appeals to me. It's a less is more. The way he draws some of the characters and the way he draws maps, your brain takes over and fills in the gaps to a complementary role. It's not, I mean, some people can draw, and you look at someone like Dyson Logos or Alyssa Fadden, and their art is beautiful and the brain just drinks it in. Brett's work, I find it appeals to me because I do like that less is more sometimes, and the way he does that is just beautiful.
Absolutely.
Wow. Do we have any examples? We can see something.
As an old schooler like myself, being reared on first edition, I know Stefan. I don't know your background, Brandon. So sorry if I'm excluding you from this, but that was kind of the way things were done back then. I mean, if you look at all your first edition modules and things like that, the cartography isn't necessarily beautiful in there. Well, what it is it's functional, and it has its own vibe that really is compelling.
Yeah, we all did quick maps in the beginning, right? On
that graph paper.
On graph paper, they're all we've all done our share of hastily drawn maps.
The graph paper inspired the 4 here. 1, 2, 3, 4 graph.
Graph paper.
Okay, I've just found a recent piece, and if Brett's happy for me to share it, because the group is a private group. So Brett, if you're there, I've found one. Where is it here? It's a post from a couple of days ago where it's got your basic books, some soup or stew, some tea-stained maps, and an adventuring party, all looking one direction with the rear looking back to make sure that no one's coming. If you're there, Brett, and you're happy for me to share that on the screen, please let me know. So we've got a few others popping in and saying hello now. So if anyone has any questions for anyone, please pop them up, and I can put them up on like I am here. Hey Brandon, how are you feeling after the stream tonight, lol? Now, I didn't see the last 45 minutes, so no spoilers, please. No, you spoil away, I don't mind.
I'm feeling tense, let's put it that way.
Oh dear. How long was the event?
It was I don't want to spoil it for anybody that didn't get to see the end, but let's just say things did not go the way we expected. But that's D&D for you.
TPK.
Hey, there's Shadster. G'day,
Shadster.
Awkward. Oh, Brett said yes, please share. All right, let's see if I'm going to do this. I'm going to bring up share screen. I'm going to see if I can do this. Application window, Chrome tab. Which one is it? Oh, it's not going to tell me. Please work. Please work. Okay, let's have a look. All right, I'm going to try this one. See if that works. If it doesn't work, there it is.
Hey,
is everyone seeing that?
Well,
So if you can see his artwork, see what I mean by like it's
Yeah, I dig
complex and it's implement. It's very cool. Like your brain is automatically you can hear the scurry of mice or rodents on the ground. You can hear the bill hook or whatever it is the guy's got. You can just lightly grazing the ground. You can hear the flame from the torch just crackle overhead. The archway of the rear guard looking there. You can just imagine like a little spider web and a little spider hanging there. You can imagine behind them. You can imagine your brain's already filling in the details since that curve of the rear wall is curved. Maybe it's a constructed, so you might see the outlines of the constructed brick or big stone blocks behind. The brain just drinks it in and it fills in the details. So I really dig his style.
What I like best about it is it's so original. I mean, you see the same kind of stuff in fantasy all the time, and I don't think I've ever seen that style before with all the negative space, and I think it really works.
Absolutely.
It also really emphasizes the fact that one guy is turned around and is looking behind them all, and I'm like, what did he hear?
And then I'm pretty sure he'll. There you go. That's the next one I want to show. So there's his mapping.
Very nice. Wow.
So
that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Anyway, so there you go, Brett. Bit of a plug in there.
Well done, Brett.
Yes.
Anne, we'll come back to you in just a moment. We're going to jump to Brandon, and I'm going to pick his brain. We'll come back to you. So, Brandon, RealmSmith, Mithril Armory, some fun things going on. RealmSmith in 2016, and I believe you joined shortly after that, 2018, something around there.
I was with RealmSmith from the start.
From the start?
Yeah, so before RealmSmith became RealmSmith, we were working on this project called Dungeon Scribe, which was going to be this app kind of like for DMs to be able to improvise and put together a game super quickly. That was the idea, and this was Jason's brilliant idea. Who was working on it with a guy named Jeff Chan, and it was through Jeff that I got to meet Jason. So the idea was that I would come on and do some of the coding for that and help out with some of the feature development and that sort of thing. But we started playing D&D in Jay's backyard with Todd and Dave Morin, and it kind of grew from that. So that game of Storm King's Thunder that we started in Jay's backyard is the one that moved into his garage and turned into a live stream when Joel joined. So that's
there we go.
Yeah.
I'll have to have words with my researcher.
No, that's okay. That's okay. The story has been told in a few different ways, but that's the way that I remember it, and so anyway, I'm just so proud to get to be a part of it.
So you were the GM for Order of Dragonsbane. Yeah. You were the writer for Seeds of Chaos. This is all within RealmSmith. Yeah. You're a player and actor in Sentinels of the Storm, in Tides of Wildmount, and Into the Mist. And you've also teamed up with Joel and Dave with Mithril to do Perplexing Puzzle Experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You've got one right there.
I've got one right here.
Awesome.
And I did an unboxing with Joel the other day, and I've got to say, kudos, mate. You've done well with this. Joel was desperately trying to take all the credit for it, but I read through his lies, and it's definitely got your fingerprints all over it. I hope Joel's watching.
Oh man!
But the way this has been put together is brilliant, mate. And I've flipped through the books. I can't wait to sit and read properly when work slows down, because it's definitely something that I would run for a group. Absolutely.
Thank you. That's awesome to hear. I love getting feedback, good or bad, just because I think all of it helps you to improve. So I'm really glad to hear that you enjoyed it. It's something that I really loved being a part of. We still talk sometimes about what we would do next. There are other projects that I am working with them on, that may be coming up in the next couple of months. So I don't think I'm allowed to go into too much detail, but
I do have a note from Joel that says, ask Brandon and tell him to hurry up about writing his novel.
Which one?
Oh, he didn't specify.
So okay, so yeah, I have one it's fully written. It's in its second editing pass right now. I'm actually upgrading it from a young adult fantasy novel to probably, more of an older age group at this point. But I'm also writing a proposal right now for another company, but I'm not allowed to say who it is, just in case they say no. So,
fair enough.
But I'm really excited about that one. I've been dumping a lot of my free time into it. So,
fantastic.
Wow.
One last thing with Brandon, and then we're going to go to a little game, and then after that we might do a little bio break. But I did a little bit of Googling, and from what I could find, of all of the RealmSmith guys, you've been on camera first before anyone. I'm just going to go to a share screen here and hope this works.
What?
So, can you tell us about Game Jam?
Wow, I can't believe you found this. I haven't been able to find this. I was trying to put it on my LinkedIn profile. So yeah, that was a game jam. I think that was Global Game Jam, and that one was a really ambitious one because instead of making one game, we were trying to make like 3. So we had a very large team. I spent 27 hours straight doing level design in CryEngine for that project. So that was without break, 27 hours continuous. And it was a labor of love.
Were they just popped under the table so you didn't have to get up, or what?
It was just, when you're in the zone, you just it just kept going. It's crazy. It's weird to see that I had hair, but yeah.
There you go.
I can't believe you found that. That's crazy.
Hey, I struck gold occasionally. I can't wait for that to turn up in a couple of days on the players' table. I apologize in advance.
That's okay. That's okay. Thank you so much.
I'm glad you didn't find something that was a more risque.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Oh gosh, what are they going to put up there?
What did Brandon do to get through college?
I was going to say, you're going to put that on your LinkedIn too.
Do what you got to do.
Hard times.
There you go. Alrighty, so let's have a little bit of fun. Let's have something I call Slang Slinger. This is where I hit you with some Aussie slang, and you've either got to tell me what it means, or I ask you whether you think it's an insult or a compliment.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one up is, if someone called you a flaming galah, would you be insulted or would you be complimented?
Are you asking anybody in specific, or?
You can all chime in and individually, put forth your answers, then I can reveal at the end. That's fine. So if someone was to...
I like to say that if anybody calls me anything, I take it as a compliment.
Well, thank you, Miss Scarlett.
She's from Georgia.
I must say, I like the way the light plays on your hair.
Thank you.
Always
Anybody else got any thoughts on that one?
So if someone called you a flaming galah, what would it be, an insult or a compliment?
I'd take it as a compliment.
Compliment?
Why, thank you. I mean, that's really kind of you. Thank you.
Galah is a kind of a bird down there. And
yep, it is.
See, this is no fair because my wife's Australian. Okay.
Is Amanda in the background feeding you information?
No, she's in the other room right now, and
she's probably laughing at you, watching you flounder more than feed you information.
No. I know the answer to this, so I just know that I'm never going to hear the end of it if I'm wrong.
Don't tell him, Amanda. Don't tell him.
No, I'm saying it is not a compliment.
It's not a compliment?
It is not a compliment.
So,
I didn't think it was.
so Stefan, and compliment, insult?
I don't know what's going on, but each to their own.
No, you're fucking galore.
So if someone, have you heard of an Aussie TV show called Home and Away?
Yes.
Okay, so there's one of the elderly gentlemen of it calls everyone flaming galahs, so it's an insult.
Yes.
All right. If someone was to call you a dead set legend, now even though the word legend is in there, the prefix of dead set. So if someone was a dead set legend, insult or compliment?
That's
Definite
a
compliment. Definite compliment.
All I heard was the word legend.
I'd say if you're a dead set legend, no one can even argue that you're not. You're a legend.
That is correct. If you are a dead set legend, then yes, it's one. Putting the word or the hyphen dead set in front of anything here in Australia emphasizes what comes next. So if someone's a dead set legend, they're more than a legend. If someone's a dead set galah, then they're more than just a galah, more than maybe just a flaming galah. There you go. Here we go. Why would you call someone in Australia a bluey? What would have to be associated with them to call them for them to be called a bluey?
A bluey.
I'm gonna guess they're talking so much you want them to hold their breath until they turn blue.
I like it.
Like you're a whale. Is that a gambling term? Like if you're
No.
feeling good at the casino, he's a bluey.
Hey Heath, have you ever seen my wife before?
Not in person.
She's a redhead.
That's so. I think Carlos has pretty much given it away. If someone, and it's an older slang, if someone's a blue, it means they've got red hair.
Yes.
It stems from our English history of rhyming slang or things being opposite of what they are, sort of thing. So if someone's a blue, means they've got red hair.
Oh, that's confusing. Oh my god.
I would have been sleeping downstairs forever if I would have gotten that one wrong. Forever.
Alrighty. The last one is a 3-piece, but I'll give you the last two first. If someone was to say they wanted to splash their boots before wetting their whistle, what would they be doing?
Going to the bathroom. Huh?
Absolutely. Splash your boots is going to the bathroom.
Under the table. They had to wet the boots.
I'm speaking from experience.
There's
a lot of dive bars. Yes. I knew immediately what that was.
So going from that to then
wetting
your whistle.
There's a lot of splashing, Thrashing and splashing.
It takes a long time to write Dwarven Forge on the wall,
You gotta invite a friend for that one.
I don't want to hope that it was in your own handwriting.
Bonus points.
I've been to Australia, I've been there.
I've been to Perth. That's right. You went to Perth. That's right.
I went to Perth. Right. I was invited by the Church of Belligerents at the Blazing Swan Festival. It's like a Burning Man festival in Australia.
Oh, cool.
And we went to a bar, and at the bottom of the bar there was a tin gutter.
Yep.
I was like, what is this down here? Is that for?
That is not for what you think it's for.
I don't have to leave the bar. Is that what's going on here? They're like,
hey, we're innovative in our functionality.
Spitting, but on occasion,
innovations that cut. You don't want to lose that valuable drinking time between leaving the bar to go to the toilet and then coming back. Oh dear. Oh dear.
Hey, I was like, I love this bar.
Oh dear, oh dear. All right. So the final one on for that was if you need to wet your whistle. Following on from splashing your boots, coming back to wet your whistle would be to
get a drink.
Have a drink. Absolutely.
We say that here.
Yeah, we know that one. Yeah.
All righty. So how's everyone going? Do we need to do a bio break just yet?
I'm fine.
We're gonna splash our boots.
Splash your boots.
I got 15 more minutes in me.
Oh, good. All righty. Well then, in that case, Marcy, how are you?
I'm doing all right, you know.
For those who don't know, I first encountered Anne watching Stefan play live, and Anne was there as well. And this voice, and this named voice, Marcy. I'm like, what? Hang on, did I miss something here?
Like,
and I soon figured out
no,
there was this
what you doing?
sword. This sword. I had sore sides from laughing so hard watching your on-screen antics playing this intelligent sword. And that was brilliant. Like, so whose idea was Marcy?
His?
Oh, no.
Well, he said he wanted to include me in the live stream in some way because I was going to be at Gary Con helping with the setup. He's like, I want you to have a part in it. And so we talked about it and kicked it around, and the idea was his, and then we kind of brainstormed together to evolve the character, and she's kind of taken on a little bit of a life of her own. And David Baxter is like really awesome as Zodgra the Strong in this like series of adventures that we've done with we're starting to call them the Bingo Shortwick gang, because Bingo Shortwick is Luke Gygax's character.
Yeah.
And
we're gonna have another installment at GaryCon.
yeah, so we're gonna bring home GaryCon and be the last stream because he always goes over by an hour or two. That too. But we're gang back together with Bingo, Luke, Zodgar and Marcy going to be there. Elisa going to be back as Zai. Four and I is going to be back as Einar. And then Peter Atkinson's going to be back as Nomine Patrice Papa. So it'll be a good time.
That was fun watching Peter. I think he fit that role very well. He took it and ran with it.
Role play.
And also
they're all good. They're all good.
The animosity between Zodgra and Einar is like becoming very fun to watch. So if you didn't see the last adventure, Thor, Einar read a magic book which turned him evil, and then basically had to be slapped back into himself by Zodgra, who did it quite happily.
Wait, didn't he kill him? He killed him.
That was a previous adventure.
Oh, that was the other adventure. He killed him.
Right.
Yeah.
Brought him back.
Wait, don't we have a nickname for him?
Einar the Betrayer.
Einar the Betrayer is now what we call him.
And Thor has been very good-natured about playing him. Poor character.
Those gaming memories, we're making them. It's fun, you know. This what are we, Carlos? We were talking about the imagination, the shared.
And it's doing these things. We did a few of these games during the pandemic where everything's been Zoom. I'm a bit of a high-risk person. I have like some lung issues left over from 9/11. Apparently breathing in World Trade Center is not good for you.
Oh, no, that wouldn't.
But yeah, so we've been very careful during the pandemic and have been basically staying at home. But doing these Zoom games and having that community still happening has been vital to our mental health. It's been great. Very grateful.
Hey, we got someone else.
Dead Aussie Gamer.
Hello.
G'day, guys.
Oh, we got an echo somewhere.
Look at this fabulous background. Oh my god.
Wow. That's like,
was that me?
Yeah. There's a
so everyone, this is Michael.
Crows.
Mm-hmm.
Michael is in Perth. We were just talking that Stefan has been to Perth. Michael's in Perth. He is the Dead Aussie Gamer. He is like me, up at ungodly hours, interacting with everyone globally. Where's my notation here? Alrighty. So.
I love that.
I feel honored that there's notes about me. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah. I was up till late last night.
Folder. They have a folder on you.
I know, right? They're watching me.
What the crikey hell's going on?
Wait till they chip you with the vaccine.
Bring me the binder. Bring me the binder on Aussie Gamer.
Oh, gee.
Let's open the file.
So, Michael, as well as Dead Aussie Gamer, you're also known as Ask a Pathfinder.
That's an old name. Yeah, no. That was the older Michael back when I first started on YouTube and the like. But I've come a long way since then, mostly because Pathfinder didn't pay me anything. So I'm
guessing that you had to change your name because they've been following you.
Well, that was it. Actually, fun fact. That's in my file. Fun fact, I actually got asked to do some work for Dungeons and Dragons and Wizards of the Coast when they were doing Ghosts of Saltmarsh and Descent in Avernus. And that was actually hosted by Guy from How to Be a Great GM. And I spoke to him because he and I are really good friends. And he said, Michael, listen, we got to talk, man. I can't put you on my show if you are called Ask a Pathfinder. Right. That's just, I can't do it. And I was like, yeah, no, that's okay. I was thinking that I'm maybe going through a name change. And I was like, you know what? My characters tend to not live very long. And the Dead Aussie Gamer seemed like, yeah, all right. You know what? Makes perfect sense. That's the one.
I want to suggest your next incarnation should be Dead Set Aussie Gamer.
Oh, I like that one. Dead Set Aussie Gamer. I like it.
Absolutely.
It's getting long. It's getting long.
Yeah.
So you work for an organization or have worked for an organization, Coburn Youth Services, and you actually run games for kids.
Yes.
Or young teens, adults as well.
Yeah, all of the above. I work for the Australian government. So it's actually a government job. Where what I do is I am an event host or event organizer for my local youth center, where we deal with kids who some of them are kind of in a bad home space, or they need to find places where they could be accepted. And I run role-playing games and tabletop board games for these kids for 4 days a week at the moment. So they come around and they have a lot of fun. They get to know each other. They meet people with the same kind of, interests and likes, and build those kind of social bridges. It's so much fun.
You're right, but you can't hide. They're after you.
They are. So this is Lance. Lance is a fan of mine from my channel. Actually, just before I jumped into chat here, I was on WASD 20 playing Rime of the Frost Maiden, and he was watching me over there. So he's followed me here.
Oh, welcome, Lance. So, all right, well, you missed out on the Aussie slang, but I kind of think you might have had an advantage in that.
Yeah, unfair advantage. Also, actually, real quick, I want to say this. I actually got last 2019. I got to go to my very, very first Gen Con, where I actually got to meet Stefan and Anne at Peter's little gathering thing. So I've still been telling people about it. I'm like, oh my god, I get to hang out with the guys who make like some of the best like terrain and stuff that I've ever seen. I saw their latest videos and stuff like that with all the traps, and I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me with this?
What traps? There are no traps.
There's no traps. Yeah. Oh man, no. It's
Since you brought up Peter and that party, I just want to say nothing to do with any of us, but the World of Chaldea on YouTube. If you've been watching the series, it's actually really good. Very much recommend it. So check it out if you want some like gaming goodness.
That's his world.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a fun time. Back in the before times when we could like meet people and.
We will meet again.
Hug.
We will meet again.
So just a reminder, anyone, you can ask questions. We've got lots of commentary here, which is good. But if anyone has any questions, feel free to post them in. Whether you're watching via Facebook, watching via Twitch, or via YouTube, I will see them in the mechanics that is StreamYard. So feel free to ask. You will have your question read, as long as it's PG-13. Oh, look, there's Buckleyow.
By the way, I forgot to ask, is tea a requirement? Because, I mean, I got like a thing for like tea. I just...
It wasn't...
good. All right, sweet.
Fun.
It's
Does Wonder Woman give you her invisible mug that goes in her invisible mug?
Apparently, it's just
Wow.
it's a
weird.
potion of invisibility.
Whoa.
Is it?
Awesome.
I moved on to more alcoholic.
See, this is the other thing about being Australian, right? It's a little early for us. I mean, even as Australians, so I'm like, damn it, we should have these. But then, yeah, it's like, and then it's in the morning with the Americans. It's just
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
that's true.
Happy hour. Happy hour.
So, coming back to a serious thing, and given that we've got 6 of us here, I did want to ask a question that I have in my previous role for Initia-Tea-Ve. In your gaming, was there a tangible, memorable moment where, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in-game, it can be at a convention, it can be a 3 a.m. in the morning idea, a moment of your own that has grabbed you and go, this is why I do this. That's it. This is why I do this. This is why I love doing this. This is why I do this.
Yeah, for sure. But I would like to hear everybody else's before I go with mine.
Anyone want to step? I'm happy to.
I'm going to say it's hard to break out what this is. For me, I guess I'm a little bit unique in the crowd. I played D&D when I was younger, but it's like kind of like ran away and joined the circus. But I have like my own background in theater and improv and in gaming, which I've brought to the table, but in stage management and tech and all that. And now that's all just sort of translated into being the ringmaster. Well, yeah, I guess you're the ringmaster and I'm setting up the tent and like whipping at the lions. I don't know.
Glad I'm not the clown.
But it's maybe I just that's the reason we all do it. Well, love. All about the love. What are you doing?
I never step back from the moment. When you're dungeon master, you're in the moment, and I haven't. That's a good question. I haven't really taken the moment to step back and be like, "Wow, check this out."
If ever there was a place, if ever there was a place to have it, if I was you, it probably would have been at Iceland. Like you're traveling somewhere specifically for the purpose of bringing that back to people. I mean, not speaking light of your work with terrain construction, but for me, going somewhere like that and seeing, especially that Prozetta, that would be a moment among many where you sort of go, this is why I do this.
Yeah.
As someone who knows you very well and is a little outside of where you are, I would hazard a guess that part of what drives you is the need to tell that story and to create the world in which you're telling these stories. Like the stories themselves will be loose, but the world and the story within the world kind of makes this crystallized whole. And you're like always working it. And like every time you tell a new story in the world, it becomes a little more complete.
Wow.
It's like that painting you can never finish. You have to keep telling stories to like make the world happen and flesh out.
I guess the one. Yeah, I hear you. And I think like maybe the pinch me moment. The pinch me moment. I know when at Gen Con, the 50th anniversary, and they had a museum there, and it was in the football stadium, the Colts, and we're at the 50-yard line, and I have a table set up from a hammered game table and running games, and the museum is right next to us, and in the museum there's like glass cases, and the first glass case when you come in was our castle, one of our castles. And I'm there and I'm looking at the tours, and they have tours, people are coming through. And I walked over and I see people at tours, and they're like, oh, and this is Dwarven Forge. And it hit me. There. I'm like, I can't believe this. I am in the football stadium, Colt, in Indianapolis, the 50-yard line, right? We're in the museum. I'm the only terrain company represented at the 50th anniversary. God damn it, this is it, no? And then we went on a panel, and Peter Peter asked, when is the time you guys, did you ever have a time when you think you actually made it? And I started crying. I was like, everyone just, and they came to me and I said, when is that time? I said, this is it right here. This is the moment. And then I started crying. It was kind of a little embarrassing, you know, but I would overtake it. That was the moment.
His inner Italian coming out.
A lot of hard work, 25 years, and like, you know what? Because I gave up an art career. I gave up my art career to start Dwarven Forge, and there were times when I thought, was it worth it? Did I do the right thing? Was I wrong to give that up and devote everything to this company? And but in that moment, I thought, yes, it was good. It was the right thing to do.
I'd like to say that I don't think you've given up your art career. Every one of those pieces, whether directly sculpted by you or not, I can see your passion in every one of the pieces that I see on the live stream.
And think of how many thousands more people, millions more people see and handle your art than like if it was just a painting.
That's the real thing, is that with a painting, it's just one person enjoys it in their house, you know. But with the terrain, so many thousands of people, they get it, and then they get to be creative with it, and then they share that with others, and it's so much more of a giving thing that I was like, for that reason, I'm happy that I did it, because I feel like I contributed more to something because of that. That's what gaming's all about: meeting people, sharing with people, sharing your creativity, doing it together with one another. That's why it's such the greatest game that there is. You know?
That's good. Yeah. I just had to swap my mic again because I've just realized I need to plug in an external hard drive because I'm about to bring up something. When it comes back around to my story, I've got a little show and tell. But that would be that I saw pictures from Gen Con 50 and that stadium and how it was done up, and it just wow. It looked really good. One of those things where thank goodness we've got the internet, because to be told about something like that and you'd be like, man, it would have been cool to be there, but you see the pictures on the net, it's almost as like, but it's not quite being there, but it's for those of us on the dark side of the moon over here, we're virtually there. Alrighty, so hang on, bear with me a second. All right,
while he's doing that, I've got something from Gen Con 50-ish. I'm gonna go grab it. I'll be right back.
It was also great when I arrived in Australia, in Perth, the Church of Belligerents, and I went into this black church that they built at the Blazing Swan, and I ran a game for like 15 people, and all these Australians that come in and Stefan. That was another moment where I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this. I flew to the other side of the world. It was like a 20-hour trip to run a game of the Church of Belligerents. That was also like, it's a great, the places I've traveled because of this game is amazing.
For sure.
I'm just honored and humbled.
So I'm a super frivolous person, and with the 50th anniversary, they released the D. Do you remember the D&D box that had like the little sapphire dice that came with like the stats for a sapphire dragon? So I picked up this bad boy. Which is the actual sapphire dragon that they released.
How did you get that back in one piece? Good grief.
That's huge.
Not easily. Also, one of the wings comes off.
This
for me was one of my big memorabilia. Is like, you're like, as you were saying, like so much of this game has changed my life, and shaped it. Like it's not just a career, it's a life. And I wanted something from that to always remember, and that was my little frivolity thing. I'm not going to tell you how much it costs with shipping and all that stuff because that hurts my soul. But I don't regret
Australia, we may as well be the dark side of the moon when it comes to shipping.
Don't I know when we have to send stuff to my in-laws? Whew.
I hate to break it to you. I checked the shipping rates, and shipping it to the dark side of the moon is actually $20 cheaper.
Damn it.
They don't have customs.
No, yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, no import tax up there.
No porch poaching either.
Thanks, Brett. Thanks.
Alrighty. Brandon?
I guess if we're talking about stuff like where you're things that you it made it worth it for you. For me, there's two things. I'm about ready to cut that. We mentioned the charity earlier, the fundraiser that I just got done doing for CCF, and we're about ready to cut the check for that. But I was in correspondence with Cheetah Conservation Funds with their fundraiser, their coordinator, Dion, and one of the people that I had met when I was in Columbus for the fundraiser was the leader of the CCF, who is Dr. Lori Marker, and she's a world-renowned biologist, zoologist that is actually in Namibia, Africa, running the charity. And Dion sends me a message, and she says, "Hey, do you think that you could sign a copy of the book for Dr. Marker?" And for me, that was really personally important because I felt like I'd made a difference with the charity. I thought that for me, that was a big deal. It was kind of validation that selling books is great for me, getting being told, hey, I like your adventure. It's great. But when you feel like you've actually changed somebody's life or you've helped some you care about, then that's really the payday for me. That was probably the biggest thing so far. I was being able to do that was really cool. And I got these cool cheetah dice too. Here.
Oh, very nice.
Wow. Sick.
You notice the bottom of the belly is a little bit light like cheetahs. So, but yeah, that was the for me, that was where it all came home, was that when the actual leader of the charity was like, "Hey, do you think you could sign one of those books?" Wow. Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's very cool. Brandon.
Yes.
A moment. If you don't want to share, like, that's fine.
I'm good. I've been sitting here trying to think of one because there have been a number. I mean, having the first module published with RealmSmith was awesome. The Tiamat twist in Order of Dragonsbane, I prepped for that for weeks. I took 2 days off work to be able to work on the Sirenscape sound set for that one. It was intense. But a big one actually involves you, Stefan. So our first time going to PAX Unplugged, on our way back home, we stopped by Brooklyn. So we popped into the offices. You gave us a tour. We did some filming with you. And then you took us out for pizza and beer. And it was just a super memorable moment for me because we'd had all kinds of amazing moments through that whole trip. And that was kind of the one to cap it off. And it was you and Nate were just super cool, showing us around. You made us feel super welcome. And I think it was the first time where I, as a part of RealmSmith, felt like wow, like we get to do this. Like we get to meet Stefan, and we get to hang out with you and Nate. You showed us your crazy table. Like it was intense.
Oh, you saw the Zaltar's.
Yes,
Yeah.
Weapons everywhere. So it was before you'd moved. But yeah, it was super memorable for me. I remember coming home and I was just raving to my wife about all of that, and she was super just blown away by all the stories. But thank you for that moment too, because that's one that really stands out for me.
We will do it again.
Absolutely, 100%.
After the plague, we will do this. Maybe come out to Seattle.
Yeah. I've never been out that way. No, I'm in Toronto, Canada.
Oh, that's right next door.
Next door, I know. It's a hop, skip, and a jump.
No, Toronto's next door to New York.
Or Canada is very wide. It's very wide.
Yeah, we got a sign at night. It glows up, says wide load.
I find Canada's a little bit like Australia. Like Canada, you've got your landmass of Canada with the majority of the population along the border with the US, whereas here in Australia, there's very little population in the centre, and we're all down along the coastline here.
Except for Heath, who is actually dead in that centre, right? Like that's where we put him, right? That's because where we put the
it's the warm version of Canada.
Yeah, but you stay away from the middle for the same reason. It's the wildlife.
They've got bears and moose, and we've got crocodiles and kangaroos that'll gut you. So for those playing, Michael's over here.
Yep.
I'm here, and this is where I grew up here.
Oh wow!
So bit of distance in between. The landmass of Australia is about 2/3 that of the continental US.
Is it like the Road Warrior?
In the center, it can be a little bit with the climate.
Do you guys do that? Is that
actually if you drive for like
gasoline and all that?
If you drive for like maybe let's say 3 hours out of any of the major cities, you'll come to what is affectionately known as Bougainville. And there's a tradition we have. It's called bush bashing, where we get a really.
I'm giving away secrets.
It's fine. It's fine. He can come. It's fine. I'll look after you. You're an honorary Australian while you're here.
Hang on,
right?
we got honorary Australian now.
All right, that's it. And bush bashing is where we get a really, really banged up car, and we somehow or another bust it up even like by crashing into everything and anything we can. If you can roll it, it's worth extra points.
So yes, it is like Mad Max.
I'm excited right now. I never thought I would hear the term feral bogan used outside of my family, my Australian family. So that just tickles me.
Wow. You know what else? I mean, just a side note. With now that we actually have a conversation with Americans and Australians, I actually found there is another connection between the Mexicans and Australians. We have a thing that old Aussie women do, like your grandma and stuff like that. It's called a thonging, right? Because thongs are like slippers here, right? So you hit people with slippers. That's how the older generation punish you. They hit you with a thong. They give you a thonging, right? Apparently in America they call it getting hit with a chancla, and you just get whacked with again the same kind of shoe.
Thong? You get whacked with the thong.
Yeah, not an American thong, Stefan. An Aussie thong is a flip flop.
Yeah, that's flip flop for you guys.
Song was that a kind of
break or something?
A rock concert, yeah. That rock star, he sure got a thonging.
He got a thonging. That was a push bashing.
Oh yeah.
We're going real fast.
We're bringing back all the. We're bringing back all the Aussie slang.
Questions, Heath. What is bush bashing? I would have gotten myself in trouble.
Yeah. Whoever I have on for the next roll for Initia-Tea-Ve, that's on the sling list.
I have a cool story about Australia that will tickle you in particular. So the second to last time I was in Australia visiting my in-laws, we were at the Sydney Zoo, because as you guys know, I'm big into animals and whatever. My wife and I are walking around. Now, on the flight over, I should mention that we were looking at Australian newspapers to figure out what was going on, see if we wanted to do anything cool. And we noticed that Heaven and Hell and Down were playing in downtown in Sydney. We're like, oh man, we should have, if we would have gotten tickets, that would have been awesome. We're walking around. It's right about closing time. And I look at my wife, and there's a bunch of people up ahead of me. I look at my wife, I look up, and I look down, I look at her. I said, that's Ronnie James Dio up ahead of us. And she's like, shut up. Because we're huge fans of Dio and everything. And I always do stuff when I see somebody that's really messed up, or I think, hey, look, it's your dad or something, whatever. So it's that's Ronnie James Dio. She's like, shut up. I said, no, baby, that's Ronnie James Dio up there. And so we're kind of like stalking this guy up there. And I'm absolutely right. It's Ronnie James Dio. Ronnie James Dio ducks into this building, and we're not going to follow him. And this guy puts his hand up in front of his guy. It appears out of nowhere. It's like a brick wall. Goes, Mr. Dio would like to see the zoo by himself. Thank you. And so we're kind of like whatever. Now we're with one of Amanda, my wife's relatives at that point in time, and this guy doesn't know how to act. He's kind of a hillbilly, whatever. So he just walks right by him and starts talking to one of another member of his security. Security gets on the phone for a second, looks over at us. Mr. Dio will be with you when he's out of the bat house. So we're all. Roddy James Dio comes walk out of the bat house, and right behind him, Stefan, is Tony Iommi. And we're sitting there going, we're looking at each other like, is this really happening? Now, I'm a huge Dio fan. I'm not, unlike you, I'm not super duper heavy into Black Sabbath, okay? So Tony Iommi's sitting there about 10 feet away from us, looking us up and down like, how come these guys don't want to talk to me? And me and my wife are all about Dio and everything. So we're talking, he's the coolest guy ever. He wants to know all about us and our family and whatever, he's asking us if we're going to go, where we're from. You can tell he wants to hook us up with tickets later on in the tour or whatever. So we all get his picture taken with us. And my wife, again, an Australian, I'll tell you and Heath and dead Aussie here, who doesn't know how to act. At the last second, right before the photo gets taken, she throws up the devil horns behind Dio's head. Dio does not even turn around, doesn't even blink. He goes, I know what you're doing back there. The photo comes off, and we're all dying laughing. So if you see this photo, I'll show you sometime, Stefan.
Oh, I gotta see it.
Because I can sense these kinds of things.
Oh my God. They came out of the bat house.
They come out of the bat house. Take that picture. It was
I like to collect
enduring memory of Australia, besides almost dying in Fiji.
That's
It's not really Australia, but
I like to collect sentences that will never happen again in the English language. And Mr. Dio will be with you as soon as he's out of the bat house. I think it's going to be added to the staff.
Oh, yeah. I would dream that way. Many times I would have that dream.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Wow. You know how huge you are into Sabbath. That's my Australian.
I probably now will have that dream, even though I didn't experience it. I'm going to hallucinate it. Dio was out of the bat house now.
Yeah. It was a shame he died. He died less than a year later. He was really sick. I mean, he had just all the time in the world for us, cared so much about us, and it was really, they say never to meet your heroes. Well, they never met him. He was awesome.
Wow.
That's very cool. That's very, very
That would be awesome. I'd love to meet any of the Sabbath guys, man.
Iommi was awesome.
He's great.
What else other stuff happened when I was over in Australia? Well, I almost got bit by a brown. That was a good time. A brown snake, that was a good time. I almost drowned when I was in Fiji. That was a good time too. Yeah. So I've got all kinds of good Australian stories we can talk about one day.
So, Carlos, is there any way you haven't almost died?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
9 lives.
I was going to say it must be the cat thing. I got those.
Totally.
So basically, at the airport, you just disembark and then roll initiative. That's pretty much it, right?
It was the coolest place I've ever been in my life because my wife, when I went to bed over at her mom and dad's house, and I was up against a big glass window, and I opened my eyes, and they have all these citrus trees in the back behind the house. And who's echoing? Is it me? Okay, no, good. Okay, I was just saying, they have all these citrus trees in the back of their house, and I open up my eyes and I look at the citrus trees, and there's a family of wallabies sitting there picking off these citrus trees and eating them, and I'm looking at them like we would have deer come up to our backyards in North America. I'm sitting there in awe, looking at these guys. It was the neatest thing ever. I'm like, man, I am not in America anymore. It was just wild.
Wow.
I'm waiting for you to say that your in-laws went flying out the back door going, get out of it, stop eating them.
No, but
because we do that here in Australia. Wildlife. Stop eating my
house, and there is a kangaroo eating there, a big gray eating grass and everything. And underneath, there's a little Joey in the pouch that's eating grass. Every time mom stands up, stops eating. Every time they go back down, it's eating grass. And I'm looking there. I think I'm David Attenborough or something. I've got my camera there going forward, narrating. And my wife's like, would you stop being an idiot? She's got a bait. She's got a Joey. She goes, if you get any closer, she's going to charge you.
Oh, dear.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, are you being serious? She goes, oh, I'm dead serious. She goes, you better get your ass back in the house right now.
Rock back on that tail.
They don't charge. They hop. They hop.
You're not in Chicago anymore. Yeah. Just get back in the house. Learn how to act. So yeah, that was that's the closest to that ever.
What freaks me out about Australia is like that animal, the kangaroo, like it will punch you. Like what animal punches you? It jumps and then it punches you.
So Stefan, I will tell you this: getting punched is the nicest thing a roo will do to you, right? Like that's the nicest thing it'll do to you. Like there's actually also a rule: don't go into the water if a kangaroo is in the water. It is specifically waiting to drown you. Specifically, like for no other purpose. Like if you see a kangaroo in the water, don't go near it. If it's drinking, it's on the bank. If it's in the water, it's trying to drown you.
It's going to
Why?
Because this is what they do.
Is this a drop bear story? Should I believe this?
Do they eat humans? Do they eat you?
No, they won't. It's their way of defending by yeah, they would like literally to defend against you. If they're in the water, they will push you under.
So they're like,
right now
I dare you. I double dare you.
Defense is a good offense, I guess. So
come into the water. Come into the water. Come on.
I've never been to Australia.
When you were visiting Australia, my wife and I were going by this park that is near. There's just a little community called Cooma that's south of Sydney, where her best friend lived. And I'm looking there. I'm echoing. Is this me that's echoing real bad?
Occasionally.
Okay, hold on. Let me.
Voices in your head. From the back, Jay.
Look, Carlos, it's the voice so nice we hear it twice.
It's Dio. It's Dio, man.
It's Dio from beyond the grave. Give me what I need to do.
If I come to Australia, do I just assume all the animals are trying to kill me? And
yep.
Yes.
Okay.
We're in the and there's this little park there, and it's about a mile square. And I'm going to switch microphones here in a moment, so after I'm done with the story. But it looks, the whole area, like a square mile, is gutted through like Swiss cheese. Like all these tunnels and everything. It's going underneath trees, and they're all like maybe a meter and a half wide, these tunnels. I'm looking at it like, what in the world could have done that? She goes, oh, that's a bunch of wombats. I'm like, are you
wombats?
What? And she goes, oh, no. She goes, they will do some damage. I'm looking at this thing, and it literally looks like somebody took a trencher through this area and just gutted the whole area. It was unbelievable. I don't know if you've ever seen that before, but
it's probably an Aussie bulle, minus the beak, like flat head, because this thing will get a run up and it will crack. It's like if you've ever seen the Jurassic Park movies, the dinosaur with the dome and it lines up.
That would be a Pachycephalosaurus.
These little stubby legs, and they will clock you with the front of their head and do some real bludgeoning damage.
Do you have an animal like that?
So how would you stat that?
We're all like that.
I heard a story about a wombat who actually got to charge the front of a parked car and actually disaligned the front wheel and almost bent the axle.
Wow!
Because it rammed the tire.
Is little. How big are these?
Oh no. Okay, hold on. Okay, so I'm 5'8", right?
Mm-hmm.
So a wombat is about, I can't even get it in the camera. It's like that big.
So it's like a big pig.
That's how big a wombat is, and that's not a big wombat. That's like an average wombat.
But how about the wing?
A wingspan. I mean, back to the farmhouse, right? You start at the farmhouse, and then about the fence, right? That's
wow.
Wingspan of the wombat.
Majestic.
Wow.
I'm getting sucked into these stories. Let's put this back on track. Where were we up to before we had Dio in bat houses and we had wombats that were neck and neck with a kangaroo for trying to kill you.
I I think we were talking about what we loved about gaming and that moment that brought us to it. And then somehow we started talking about things trying to kill us, and I don't know.
Monsters. We fell into the monster manual.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
Yeah.
Michael and I will have to put out an Aussie monster manual.
Oh man, yeah, totally. It would just be it'd just be an encyclopedia, right?
But with stats.
Yeah, with stats.
Campaign in there somewhere.
Get Aussie Man Reviews to narrate it. Brandon, a moment? A moment in gaming that you sort of went, this is it?
Oh, well, I shared a couple.
The Stefan Pizza House. That was where we left off.
It was good time.
Roberta's Pizza.
God, what a
Pizza
bad
was amazing.
That's where I met Joe Manganiello.
There?
And Roberta.
Yeah?
That's a good place to meet people because
He was there. It wasn't planned. I was in the other room, and his friend Diesel, the DJ, was hanging out with him, and he saw me. Oh, you gotta come meet my friend. I'm like, I can't. I was hanging out with the Hammered Table guy, Dan, that had just brought my table. He just drove 17 hours to bring me my table. And I'm hanging out. I can't meet him. But no, you really got to meet this guy. I'm like, no, I can't. You know, I'm brushing off Joe Manganiello. You know, I have no idea that I was. You know, finally, like a third time, he's like, no, you have to come out. Okay, I'm gonna come. Yeah, I go over there, and I meet this really tall, handsome guy. I had no idea who he was. You know, and he's telling me about how he likes gaming and this and that. I'm like, yeah, oh, that's cool, man. Yeah, you know. And but I had no idea who he was, and I think he could sense. He also, I had no idea who he was, and I hadn't, you know, I didn't see that show. What was it?
True Blood.
True Blood. Mm-hmm. You know, but my ex at the time, you know,
or his then current girlfriend.
At that time, Lulu, she
big fan.
So I came, I talked to him. I said, why don't you come over and meet the others? So I come over, and he comes over, this big hulking guy, and Lulu starts screaming. And I'm like, whoa, what?
Stefan's looking around for the kangaroo or the wombat.
He was a star,
right?
He was a star. But anyway, I didn't mean to take over your.
That's right. All righty. So yeah, sorry, Brandon. I've blanked on that. I think the Dio story derailed me in its entirety.
Yeah, that's my fault.
Here we go. I will show you. Where are we?
This is what happens when you invite a bunch of storytellers on and ask them to tell stories.
You did this to yourself.
You got on the roll.
You know what? On the Joe Manganiello thing, I want to say this. I love Joe Manganiello. I think he's a wonderful human being, and he makes me so jealous because he is doing everything I want to do in life. He is a fantastic storyteller and performer. He works with kids. He does like the whole positive gaming thing. And he has the audacity to be as tall, beautiful, and amazing as he does. I'm like, damn it, I'm short.
Amazing.
and I sound like like one of the feral kids that you tell your children to, okay, hey Billy, you see that kid? He's Australian. Don't go near him with any pointy objects. Okay, just.
He is incredibly good looking.
Yes.
I like you better. He's too tall. You can't get to him.
I'm sure Stefan. Stefan.
That's the Gygax house. That's the Gygax house.
This is a photo I took when I was there. 2016, GaryCon 8, and it was an absolute blast to be there. But to stand out front of Gary's original house, 330 Center Street, was amazing. And then the only thing sort of more to bring that home was hang on, let me see if I can bring up the picture. See if I double click and it comes straight in. I know that's not going to do it. I have to close the other one.
That's the Temple of Gaming. There it is. That's and it has these Greek pillars in front. It's like going to the Parthenon.
A very small Parthenon.
Yeah. It's in better shape.
Parthenon.
That is entrance wargaming room written on a wooden door. That was Gary's original wooden door. Under the it's the outside entrance to the basement, and just to sort of stand there and wonder how many people had walked down those steps past this door to game with Gary. That was like being at 330 Center was a moment where I went, this is very cool. This is why I like gaming. This is why I like fantasy. This is why I like what I do. The only other thing other than that for me, I found D&D through a sort of a game book, like a choose your own adventure book called Lone Wolf, written by the late great Joe Deaver. And Joe was big into AD&D. He discovered AD&D in the late 70s when he was in LA, because he was English. He went to LA for some music work because he was a musician. He found D&D, loved it, went back to the UK and wrote his own campaign world, and it was called Shinarau. And Shinarau then became Magnaman, and Magnaman was going to be his own homebrew campaign world. And he worked at the time for Games Workshop, and he saw what the Fighting Fantasy books were doing, and he kind of went, that's great, but you can't take the same character to the next book. And he ended up writing a series of game books called Lone Wolf, and I found them as a child, and I absolutely loved it. This is my original copy from the late 80s that I bought at a book fair at my school when I was 9 or 10. It's still got, like, it's been taped up that many times. It's still got my childlike handwriting in there for who owns the book. The little action chart in there. One of them's been used multiple times. This was something that was near and dear to me, and it was what got me into D&D from Lone Wolf and playing D&D down here in Adelaide at uni with some friends. Now we'll fast forward a few years. I buy some random Lone Wolf stuff off eBay because I'm still a fan. This is sort of the early 2000s, and I end up sort of communicating with the guy selling it, only to find out it's Joe Deaver himself. So we then started an email conversation, and that was really cool. And then with social media coming along, I eventually found myself on Facebook. My wife and I were in the UK, and she went, can you just get your own Facebook rather than using mine, please? I want to contact Joe to go and meet him, but I kind of went, this guy doesn't want to meet people. Like, he's probably busy. And I didn't reach out. And I found out since that if I had, he would have made time to meet fans, because that's what he did. So we come back to Australia in late 2008. I maintain my friendship with him. I go on Facebook. I become friends with him on Facebook. Then through a very cool American by the name of August Hahn, Joe reaches out to me to be part of the writing team for Cubicle 7's Lone Wolf. This is Rookhaven. This is an add-on only. You don't get it in any pledge level. When Cubicle 7 did their Lone Wolf D20 system, this was add-on only. And chapter 8 or 9 is my chapter. Now, I've not been part of many writing things. I think I've got my name credit in maybe 4 things. It's definitely here. It definitely says Heath Farndon. You can't sort of quite get this too well, but you'll take my word for it. I don't care that I haven't written many things. I want to write a lot of things, but to come full circle and have my name in what is my version of D&D, when this happened, that's when I went, this is why I do it.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
That is an awesome story.
And sadly, Joe passed in November 2016. So I never got to meet him. Friends on Facebook, friends by correspondence. And that was kind of one of the things why, like, I started Antipodean D20 in 2014. Really amped up the video aspect of it shortly after Joe passed, because I went, I don't want to miss a situation where I would say, yeah, I kind of knew them, but I never met them. And that's why I do what I do.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Not about me, it's about you guys. So,
that was great.
It was a great story.
That was awesome, dude. I don't necessarily want to follow that up with my with my moment. I'm like, oh. So, because I'm a bit of a diva, so like I love all your stories. All your stories are amazing and about like how you've helped the world or the community or created something truly magical. For me, so for a bit of context, I got into this thing I'm doing not by my own volition. I'm just a friendly person. I'm what I'm everyone's friend. If you meet me anywhere, even if I haven't spoken to you for years, right, I will treat you like you live next door to me all my life, right? Like that's who I am as a human being. And as I got to meet people through role playing and stuff like that, people started to ask me to do things and pull me along in places. So I got asked, hey, why don't you start a Facebook blog? Cool. That's how Ask a Pathfinder came along. And then somebody said, hey, why don't you come play with me on this live stream? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. You should have your own YouTube channel. Oh, okay, why not? And I've always been kind of pushed forward. And every time I do something like that, I always get this moment of, where am I? How did I get here? What's happening?
This is not my beautiful house. This is not my beautiful house.
My beautiful wife, like the whole thing. So for me, it's being able to make friends with so many people who I respect, and some of the people who I've never even heard of. For example, I know many people know of the gamers, Darkness Rising, and the movies that are associated with them. I actually got to make the acquaintance and friendship of Nathan Rice, who is the main actor in one of that, and one of the directive minds of it. I told my missus about it, and she loses her head about it and like can't figure out, how do you know these people? You didn't know about role-playing games till like 10 years ago when I introduced you. And I always get these moments. But for me, probably the two most outstanding moments were Gen Con, where, because I live in Perth, which is the world's most isolated city. I don't have fans coming up to me and asking me for autographs. I have people who barely recognize me. In fact, I've had so many "do you know who I am" moments as a diva, right? Like, hey, Michael, you know that these guys doing like improv? You should do D&D as improv. I'm like, thanks. Yep.
I'll put that on my to-do list.
But when I went to Gen Con, it was a whole new thing. Like, people recognized me. People were shouting at the other convention hall, "Hey, Jaggerjaw!" Like, naming my characters. And I'm just like, oh my God. And there was this one moment where I was about to go to a panel to talk about, what I do with the kids at the youth center and how to make money in, the field. And, this group of people said, hey, listen, a friend of ours couldn't make it to Gen Con, but he insisted we find a way to pin you down. And I didn't have a big schedule. I was like, no one wants to listen to me. I'm like, I'm come say hi. That's it. And this little guy, as you can see, was hand-stitched by one of the fans and handed to me at Gen Con. And now he sits on my desk and, constantly reminds me what I do this for. And why I do this. Even got my little ponytail thing as well. So this little guy always reminds me why I do this, and that's because I love being everyone's friend. I love getting to meet people like this who have such passion, and it's my goal to run games for these people, like the forever GMs, the people who you see on all the live streams who like for example, Stefan, if literally at any point in time you sit there and go, oh, man, I really want to play a game, you call me. I will get up at 3 a.m. to run you a game, and it'll blow your mind. I will do, because that's what I want to do in life. I want to show that appreciation to the storytellers and GMs of the for
careful, Stefan might call you on that. I made the same boast to Luke Gygax for Founders and Legends last year in July. I said, hey, if you've got a spare slot, I don't care if it's 3 a.m, I'll get up and I'll sit out in the car on the phone and do this. Really jokingly, and he gets back to me 2 days later. He goes, "I've got a spot for you, but you might not like it." And it started locally 1:30 in the morning, and I took the idea to my wife. "Hi, honey, how you doing? Would you like a back massage? Would you like a foot rub?"
But I was gonna say, you say that, Heath, but you remember I was there for that. I watched you play the whole thing. Because you come up to me and said, hey, I'm doing a thing at 1 a.m. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll be there. And I just watched him because again, he's a friend of
mine. That was very cool. I do appreciate that. I was getting to that. I said, I had one fan watching. But yeah, Luke said, if you're serious, like I've got one, but I've worked out the time and I've checked it twice and I got someone else to check it. We typed in Adelaide and it's going to be 1:30 Sunday morning. Is that okay? I went, leave with me, I'll work on it. And yeah, I got everything ready. I got the green screen ready. I got all this ready, and I looked at the clock, and it was 12:30, like, you know, half past midnight sort of thing. I'm like, I could shut eye for 45 minutes. I could do this. So I get my phone. I set the alarm. 45 minutes go. I lay down on the lounge behind the green screen here, and lay down. Had the phone on my chest so it would vibrate as well as ring. I slept through it. I woke up. I just happened to open my eyes, look at it, and it said 1:34 a.m. and I went, oh, that's very late at night. And then I had that moment. So I looked in there, and there's Casey Rift, and he's like, dude, are you awake? Like, you know, we're ready to go. And that was like 20 minutes ago. And then it was again, hey, dude, you know, here's the link. Are you ready to go? And that was 12 minutes ago. And so, is it too late? Can I do it? And they're like, no, cool. So I jump up, get it all ready, get this all ready, turn it all on, turn all this, and then I'm just about to hit the go button, and my computer does a blue screen of death. And I'm like, oh no. So I restart it all, get it all ready. Like, yeah. Sorry, just getting something to drink. Yep, cool. Be there in a couple of minutes. Sort of get it all ready. And I got in, and I was 20 minutes late from the start, so 10 to 2. And Luke was like, hey, cool, glad you could make it. I'm like, yeah, totally, sorry, man. You know, things. And like, and we played, and then after the game we chatted, and I reckon I went to bed at about 5 a.m. And my lovely wife let me sleep, and like that was just so cool. And so be careful, Michael, because Stefan may call you on that. If it's anything like Luke.
The weirdest thing is some of my best fans are in like Germany and the UK, so I'm all about like the weird hours and stuff like that. But more importantly,
Michael, 2 seconds. My wife is in the other room listening, stitching me up. It's a true story. There she is, stitching me up. True story. Thank you, honey.
There you go.
Thanks, Michael, please.
But yeah, no, I know, definitely. No, and this goes to all of you. That is just who I am, and that's my mission statement of life is to do this for people, because I know how hard it is to get tables. I know how hard it is, especially when you're an adult trying to schedule people to come and do stuff. Even more so when it is the thing that you have as an occupation, because every single second is time that you need to be spending in a particular way. So that's why I reach out to people and say, hey, I'll run a game for you, totally, 100%. But the second, but ironically, that moment falls a very shy second, and I say very shy second, to my near miss, and I say near miss because there were logistical errors of my Guinness World Record, world's longest RPG marathon. I played and applied and succeeded in an 86-hour Pathfinder campaign in a straight run, in an absolutely straight run.
How's that possible?
I actually trained, dieted, researched. It was like an 8-month training regime that me and my players had to go through to do that. We treated it like any kind of world record, and we broke it. We did, but then we had to try and figure out how to get 160 gigabytes worth of footage to Guinness for everything. And we made sure nothing was left to chance. Everyone had character levels 1 through to 20. And if you leveled up, all it was is you turned the page and then you had everything labeled out.
Cool.
We played the whole campaign. And at the end of that, I was so tired. My voice was gone. I was fairly sure I was hallucinating. And I basically said, no one has done this. I am the first here. Suck it, Joe Manganiello.
And then you went out and you punched the kangaroo.
Yeah, that's it.
You can't see it, but Michael's wearing kangaroo leather slippers.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
On that day, yeah. I want to throw in a very tiny story. You're talking about your friend telling you should improv D&D. Reminded me of this lovely show that I saw at Portland Fringe Festival in Maine in 2018. A guy named Chris DeFilippe did a one-man show where it was told through Dungeons and Dragons, and he would narrate and set up the scene and everything, and the audience would roll dice, and depending on what the rolls were, that would affect the narrative of what happened next. And it was actually really cool. It was like a fun combination of Dungeons and Dragons and Choose Your Own Adventure. But so I was like, it can be done.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
Not exactly gaming, but
it's great because that's exactly. Well, I did poo-poo it, but at the same time, I actually did it because I don't say no to people because everyone knows I'm a diva. And here's what they do. They literally go up to me and they say, "Hey, Michael, listen, there's a beach festival on. Would you like to run D&D on the beach?" And I'm like, no, I would not. Because this is Dungeons and Dragons, right? There is sand, there is wind, there is water, and nerds don't like the outdoors. What are you talking? Well, okay, sorry, I apologize. Present company excluded because we've clearly seen Stefan go around the world. So I said no, and they're like, "Oh, well, that's a shame. I thought of if any GM could do it, you could." And I'm like, "You bastard!" And that's how you trick me into doing stuff. Like literally, that's it. And that's it. And I did it. So I did it. And what we did was we had me and an assistant GM. One of us would be the physical acting NPC, and the other person would be the narrator. Then we'd get random people from the crowd to step up. Like we'd give them a sword, we'd give them beanbags for magic spells, and then they rolled and we did stuff. And then one person would act out. It turned very south as the GM started fighting each other. Like it's like, yeah. And then the fighter kicked him in the head. And it's like, dang it. Okay, well, fine. And then it's my turn to GM. I'm like, yeah. And then he grabbed some sand and rubbed it into his hair. And we just started picking on each other. And it was just, it was hilarious. The audience loved it. But
4D D&D.
So how many dice got lost off the table into the sand in that game? Because
so we used these like foam dice that were like this big, that you give to like children and you're like showing them. Yeah, those ones, yeah. Wow. We did have, oh my God. And because it was so hot, and to share this extra gross and moist detail, we were in a kind of a pavilion, and it was so humid and hot and sweltering where we were. The character sheets in people's hands melted.
Oh my God. What?
They had just like soaked up the water, and then it just crumbled. So we didn't have any paper to take back at the end of the thing. And so it was not a pleasant thing. I was definitely, early Michael was right. It was a terrible idea. But, ego Michael was like, let's get it done.
I can just hear like, yeah, no, he said no, get Joe Manganiello on the phone. Brandon, so this year coming up, yourself and Joel and Jason have got the idea for RealmCon. I could see this being a thing. I could see this interactive, everyone not sitting at the table watching. Like I can see taking Michael's what Michael's done and transposing that into RealmCon. I could see that happening because that Joel would run a mile with that.
Oh man, if you give Joel enough freedom, he'll just build the most insane thing you've ever seen in your entire life. You don't see the production side of things so much in the show, but when it comes to like the crazy lighting and all of these things that trigger throughout the game, that's very much Joel and Jay just like going nuts. And a lot of times it starts with Joel going like, what if we do this? And Jay's like, hold on, slow down a bit. And then
no,
and sometimes Joel just like goes and does it.
It's like the two guys from Mythbusters.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah,
pretty much. You got the Jamie Heineman and the Adam right there. So it's
no prizes for guessing who is who out of that combo.
Brilliant people. But the insane thing is like these pie in the sky things that we talked about when we were first kind of like playing the game, and like we were talking like, hey, what if we do a live stream? Like what if like one day like it becomes a thing and we can do a con, like it's happening, and it's just mind blowing, and it's so much because of Jay's dedication and Joel and Tim and all the other guys that have just come together to really make this happen. So I mean, I've been along for the ride. I can take very little credit, but these guys are just genius, and they inspire me every day.
the writing and the production is good, but I can tell you and pay you the full compliment that the role playing that you bring in Sterling and in Snow is very good. Do not undersell yourself on that, my friend. Especially these glasses. Without these glasses, I can't drive. Without these glasses, I'm looking at the camera. I'm looking at the monitor. And I can't see anything without these glasses. And to sit there and watch someone actively and compassionately playing a blind character. I was like, right from last year in GaryCon, watching the prologue, the prelude, whatever, session 0 of Tides of Wildmount, and you've got Matt Mercer, you've got Matt Lillard, and then there's yourself and Joel on the other side, and watching you play a character that's blind in such a way that without these glasses, like I said, there's blurs. I've just gone, these guys are good.
I mean that's so humbling. That's a character that I really wanted to do, and other people would be a little bit nervous about it, and even now I get a little bit nervous because I want to make sure I do it justice. So that thank you. It's good to hear.
Yeah. That was it's good. Like I've seen games where I've played in one of the longest games I've played in. There was an incident where someone lost their arm and someone lost their eyesight, 2 different characters. And it was like, oh yeah, we'll just get you a magic adamantine arm for that. And it was, at the time, it kind of worked. And then the other guy, oh, we'll just get you some magic goggles and you can see again. Okay, cool. And it was just really glossed over. So to see you stick with the concept of character and play them with integrity is very good.
Thank you.
It's excellent.
Not to kind of put it down on it, but how come you didn't suggest that he go after that person that lost the eye and the arm, not go after Vecna and all the little bits and pieces? I mean, I'm saying it's like right there, man.
Yeah,
okay,
there's pieces just sitting around.
It's right there.
Hang on, just making a note for next time.
Look, the hand is right there. You just go get it.
Yeah, but it's attached to a dragonborn in hell.
A dragonborn in hell.
Splash my boots.
Alrighty. We do have a question from someone. Once we might take a quick 5-6 minute bio break. I'll pop us on air with the back in 5, and then there is a question from Mac Bluff. We'll come back and we'll answer that when we got back. So I'll pop us offline and we'll come back in about 5-6 minutes. And I just have to remember how to do that. Alrighty, we are back. I am back. Welcome back. Hello. That took a little longer because I had to refresh my cup of tea. Thank you. We're just moving into 2 hours, 20 minutes. So a little bit longer than we thought. We're going to wrap up very soon. We'll talk a little longer with some of our guests. Thank you for hanging around. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the questions. We've got a couple of questions there that we'll ask. So I'll bring back my guests. There we go. Carlos.
Hey,
Stefan and Anne.
Back in black.
Brandon and Michael. All righty. Thank you very much. Hope everyone's got a fresh cup of tea.
When we're on break, as well as getting my own cup of tea, my mother texted me because apparently she's watching. So I just wanted to say hi, Mom.
Hello, Mrs. Carlton. Hello, Mrs. Carlton. Is it Mrs. Carlton?
Mrs. Quigley, actually. She had a second husband.
There we go. Well, thank you nonetheless for watching. G'day from down under. I feel like I need to flip my monitor over, my camera upside down.
Keith, can you hear me?
G'day from down under.
That's awesome. Oh.
I need to have coordinated that with Michael a bit better. Yes, Carlos, we can hear you, mate.
Oh, good.
Alrighty. Good. So I've got one last game, a little bit of Aussie trivia. I may have to excuse Michael from this, but a little bit of Aussie trivia. True or false, a former Australian Prime Minister has at one stage set a beer drinking world record?
True. Sounds like something a Canadian would do, though, too. So,
I'll be contrary and go with false. True.
It is indeed true. It was set by Bob Hawke, who downed the equivalent of 2.5 pints in 11 seconds. That was a yard glass that someone handed him, and he downed that in almost record time. Here we go. So this is a few years ago. He has since passed. Someone hands him a pint.
The country.
Here we go.
Skulls of beer.
That dude?
That was a former prime minister.
Drink.
Not that we advocate the fast and rapid consumption of alcohol. But,
did he sign some papers after that?
Wow.
But so former Australian, now since passed on, Bob Hawke.
Like right after that?
No, not right after.
You do that enough times. I mean,
no.
Oh Lord.
Love him or hate him, he was certainly a man of the people for at least beer consumption. Alrighty.
He didn't just wet his whistle; he wet the whole band.
Oh my goodness.
That's it.
Back in the days of college.
I was going to say, where was Guinness when I was in college? Because I know I bombed at least 6 feet of Killians at one point in time.
I neglected. We had a question.
Funnel? A funnel? Have you done a funnel?
A funnel? Yeah, here in Australia, that's called a beer bomb.
Beer bomb.
Yeah.
Nuts.
So, a question. It makes me really happy to see people feel appreciated and understood through this game. I personally draw a lot of inspiration from real-world cultures that I have no relation to, but they are so incredible to me. As much research as I can do them justice. Hang on, that's not the question. That's hang on, I've popped that. Well, thank you anyway. Hang on, here's the question here. There we go. And I'm not the one who's... Here we go. If I may ask a question, as soon as I started reading, I'm like, this is not the question. If I may ask a question, do you like to bring RPGs beyond the game itself? I like to make art personally because I know my fellow players and DMs may want to see the cool or funny things that happen in a visual sense. Well, I think Stefan's got that as a hands down with terrain. I think that's definitely a hands down with that. I cannot draw to save my life. I can't paint to save my life. I just go with funny anecdotes myself and teller of tales.
Just pull it off the thing.
I used to do that until the restraining order and the tragic Denny Pratt incident. No, to be quite honest with you. Oh, look at this. Look at this.
Oh, that's the Iceland sculpt.
That was inspired by the Iceland trip.
I love at the front. I love at the front. You've got the I didn't finish my degree, but I did geology at university, and so I'm a rock nut. Right at the front of your sculpt, I love that you've got columnar basalt, because that is like one of my loves. I love columnar basalt.
Yeah.
My wife and I, when we were in the UK, we went to Giant's Causeway in Ireland, and to stand there and look at this columnar basalt, it was like incredible. Where my wife grew up in Tassie, they have it down there, but I haven't got to go there to go and see that yet, mainly because a lot of it is right at the southern tip of the state, and we don't venture down that far. But yeah, I love how you've included some of that columnar.
It's so nature is so inspiring.
If you ever have the chance to go to Iceland, that cave that you see in the Destination Fantastic episode, it's difficult to appreciate it on film, but when you're standing there, you're like in the mouth of a giant, and it's weird because the columns are coming straight out.
Yeah.
On the side, they're up and down, but they're coming straight at you, and it's like it's exploding in slow motion right in your face as you're standing there looking at it. It's really eerie and amazing.
That's cool. That's cool.
Nature, everything comes back to nature. You know, like it's like that. We have the imaginations and creativity and all this, and then you'll be like, wow, there's actually something in nature even more incredible than what you imagined. And you're like, oh my god, like insects. You know, like they do the craziest things. Insects. And you're like, is there really creatures? Like we have some crazy creatures in Dungeons and Dragons, right? A monster manual, right? And you're like, oh my god, this creature does weird things. You're like, that's too far out. And then it's
rock grub.
It's actually more far out creatures, right?
The Australians know all about it.
Yeah, Australians, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sure if we looked hard enough in the outback, we would find rock grub. I'm sure.
Yeah, that's easy, yeah. Like, not.
Yeah. He's followed up with, do you like multiple mediums, Stefan?
Oh yeah, I my favorite to sculpt.
Oh, they followed up, right?
It's water-based play, water-based. You know, the old-fashioned water-based.
I think she means you like painting and drawing also, or he.
Oh yeah, no, I grew up. You know, I was a greatly inspired by the Renaissance artists. My mother is Italian, and they brought me all over Europe. And you know, in the Renaissance, that's the idea was to do everything: architecture, poetry, sculpting, drawing, painting. To have a well-rounded artistic vision. I believe in that. I believe that's true. I think you should try a little of everything.
Yeah, right? Cool. Oh, I'm glad we got to with that question.
In there.
No, I don't proclaim myself to be any kind of artist in any way. Like when it comes to role playing, the acting side is what comes out more. But this is just a kind of a cheat for people like me who don't necessarily have the same artistic skill. I actually use Hero Forge to make minis super quick, which I then also use for my online games as pictures. So I made one in the time it took for Stefan to explain that story of Stefan in his wizard outfit. As,
Very cool.
Wow.
So he's going to join me for the rest of the stream there.
Nice.
So
I wish I could play guitar. I wish no musical, nothing.
It's a fantasy world. You can play the magic guitar and everything you would desire.
A wizard with bardic aspirations.
Yeah. Mother said I had to graduate Wizards College.
Alrighty, a visual thing. What is that?
Oh, is that? Can I?
Is a plate with something on it?
Is that a rice bar?
Is that Lamington?
It looks like some sort of ice cream bar.
Coconut. Coconut. There's some coconut.
There is indeed coconut. It's not ice cream. It's a Lamington.
Yeah.
This is portions of sponge cake. We were being a frivolous country in the early days. Old sponge was then reused, dipped into chocolate, and covered in coconut to use up the old sponge rather than throw it out. So Lamingtons are a real Aussie thing.
What?
And they are delicious.
That's a sponge?
Not sponge as in you wash your dishes with. Sponge as in sponge cake.
Oh. This sponge, I'm like, all right.
No, not a.
I guess if you harvest a sponge from the ocean, it's organic.
Technically, wow, that's hardcore. That's hardcore.
The side of right?
If I get back to GaryCon in 2022, I'll bring some with me.
Okay. Okay, we'll eat it.
You'll eat it.
Alrighty. Hey, if you're heading down the beach, and you had with you budgie smugglers, what would they be? If you're at the beach and you had budgie smugglers, I'll give you a hint. It's not a person or an animal. It's a thing. If you had budgie smugglers with you, what would you have with you at the beach?
A Speedo.
What do you say?
I know.
Brandon says Speedo.
Really? A Speedo, because it looks like you're smuggling budgies.
Oh, that makes sense.
Oh, wow.
It is indeed. It is indeed. It is the Aussie version of what you'd call a banana hammock.
Oh man, I was joking.
No, you were bang on.
I feel
absolutely
like a 6-year-old girl.
spot on.
Mittens. Yay!
Is your mother still watching it?
I exist.
Sorry, Aunt's mom.
Unsnuggled. It's all good.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
All right. What is the most unusual thing about the excrement of a wombat? Wombat poo. What's the most unusual? Now I know you'd know this, so you're exempt from answering first, Carlos and Michael. You'd know this. Brandon, Stefan, and Anne. Wombat poo. What's the most unusual thing about wombat poo?
Tastes delicious.
While you're thinking, I will tell you a quick story. Where I met my wife down in Tassie at Cradle Mountain Lodge, there was a guide there he was from England, and he used to love to play up to the tourists that would come through to go on a walk. He would come into the kitchen. I worked in the kitchen. He would collect dried dates. And then he would take these tourists, Japanese tourists, American tourists, English tourists on these walks and point out wombats. And then he would place this dried date on a rock or somewhere and then pick it up, pretend it was wombat poo and eat it and observe their reaction. So no, wombat poo is not edible. That is not the correct answer, but there's a story for you.
I'm gonna say it looks a lot like that little cake you showed us on the plate.
We've got an interesting answer from Night Road. Glows in the dark. No, not unless the diet of a wombat includes fisheye material.
Can it start your car?
Can it start your car? I don't know. Enough of them in a group would stop your car. No. Wombat poo. Who said something about being like the cake?
Anne did.
Wombat poo is square.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say.
I kid you not. Poo, is it? And the reason for that is when they produce their scat, they will do it on a rock or on a log or somewhere high that's visible, and it marks their territory. And it's the evolution. It comes out square, so it doesn't roll away.
Nice.
So they're pooping gaming tiles. You're telling us.
Pretty much, yeah. Do not sculpt that. Do not sculpt that.
But there's a business opportunity there.
The newest employee.
Biodegradable.
The anus. The anus is square shaped.
I don't know. I haven't looked into it. Boom, boom, that hard.
You have to look.
Science demands an answer.
Stop a freak, yes.
They literally drop
There we go.
Nature is stranger than fiction.
It really is. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy!
Wow.
And now that gets you. Can I ask a question of everyone real quick? Of all the D&D creatures, who do you think has square shit?
Oh.
Well, I'm gonna go with a boule right out of the gate.
Because,
because of the resemblance to a wombat.
Yeah. Okay.
Either that or a gelatinous cube.
I was gonna say the jelly cube. I was thinking maybe a mimic.
the Otyugh.
Otyugh.
Maybe the Otyugh has square poop.
No. The Otyugh in my world, I made it up. I made up the Otyugh in my world that lives in the sewers. They poop out little truffles. And very prized by alchemists in Valoria.
Wombats.
So Heath, are you glad that all of these incredible, talented, creative minds are adding valuable content to your channel? Like,
absolutely.
Absolutely. What other poo can we talk about?
There we go. Alrighty. Sydney Opera House. Sydney Opera House was inspired by a piece of fruit. True or false?
True.
Which fruit for bonus points?
Either a bunch of bananas or some orange slices.
A pineapple. The flesh of the pineapple.
Some weird Australian fruit.
Have you seen our country? Do you know what fruit that would grow here would do to you if it did?
Brandon's actually got it spot on. Brandon's got it spot on. It was inspired by slices of orange.
Oh, all right.
Oh. Right. Okay.
There you go.
Shouldn't that have been a soccer stadium?
Not so exotic.
What unexpected animal does Australia export to Saudi Arabia?
Camels.
Bang. Got it in one.
Whoa. How do you know that?
Nice.
I have random knowledge in my
Do you
head.
want to just blow the smoke off that before you put it away?
I didn't know Australia had camels.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have a large history with the Middle East with camels. In fact, the train that runs from north to south and back again is the Gan from from Afghan, because we used to have Afghani camel drivers from Adelaide up to Alice Springs and a little further north.
Wow. And
and we actually have a. Sorry. Go, mate.
I was gonna say I don't know if they have it over east, but in Perth we actually do camel tours of Perth with giant camels like through the city and stuff as well, and it blows tourists' mind when they come through. It's a camel. It's like, yeah. And
my favorite legal story is about a man who was arrested for drunk driving when he was riding his camel through town in Australia. And the judge threw out the case saying that no one could control a camel whether they were sober or drunk, so it actually didn't matter the state of creation.
Fair enough.
Camel's gonna do what camel's gonna do.
But just behind where Heath is, there's actually the Nullarbor, which is a long straight bit of road as well. There's actually and this goes to anyone backpacking or anyone traveling to Australia doing the long drive. Anyone traveling the Nullarbor, there's actually a camel warning. Because they will cross roads, they will sleep on the road and stuff like that. And you just won't see them coming before they're just there.
Yeah, there are. I mean, along Nullarbor, literally from the Latin, no tree. And there are signs where you're going from one town to the next when you're leaving. Warning: next fuel stop, 300 something kilometers.
Ew.
So, because they'd have people run out of fuel.
So. Do you just call AAA or
if you've got phone reception, sure.
Actually,
Michael, interesting when I went to Australia is how everybody at the front of their car, at least in New South Wales, I was there, had these massive pipes at the front of the car.
Rhubars.
I said, "What's that?" Actually, that's a rhubarb.
Yeah,
and I was like, "Oh, it's that common, huh?" And she's like, "Oh yeah." So
yep. A full even an adolescent kangaroo, bouncing across the road, and you're out in the Nullarbor sort of thing. Some of the external roads and that you're 100 k's, which is what's that, 80, 70, 80 mile an hour sort of thing. The kangaroo will mess your front end of the car up something fierce.
And then punch you.
And drag you to the nearest dam. That's right.
Yeah. If you survive the crash, they'll beat you to death.
Come through the window there.
Not before his friend the wombat, breaks your femur and the drop bear steals your wallet.
There's a great video you can find online somewhere.
On you.
Well, that's if a wombat's climbing up a tree. But you know, there's this really cool video of this guy. He's driving down. This kangaroo jumps out in front. He manages to stop before he hits it, and it's hilarious because the kangaroo sizes up the car and then goes, "Bam your windshield," and then leaves. And he goes, "You bastard!" Like,
Man, these animals are like so Brooklyn. Oh my word! That's all the attitude.
Has an attitude.
Winnie the Pooh really got that one wrong.
Do you have ants?
My wife's favorite animal, the hoop snake. Does anyone know what a hoop snake is?
No.
Is it in real life or in a Monster Manual?
Yeah,
It'd probably be a little bit more Monster Manual.
it attacks small girls specifically.
The hoop snake is a snake that will come tumbling along. It'll have its tail in its mouth, come tumbling along, get to you, let go, and then it attacks you. And then when it's done, he'll put its and then he'll put its it's definitely Monster Manual material, not real life material. But that was the hoop snake is something that we perpetuate to tourists for a bit of fun.
Really, we call hoop snakes. You know hula hoops, like the toy.
Where's he going?
I mean, you see everything else in Australia. You're like,
I would have
sure.
believed. I was ready to believe that. I was like, come on, no, that's a real thing.
I had to mention it's my wife's favorite animal. Or I have one last trivia, and then we can do a little bit of banter, and then I'm sure people have to go. How long would it take to visit every beach in Australia if you could only visit one per day?
What is
There's a lot of beaches.
Well, the whole perimeter of the country is a beach. Yeah, pretty much. I guess there's cliffs.
It would take years.
I have no idea.
Throw a guess out. Feel free.
3 years.
I think
3
it would.
years?
I got 4.5 years.
4.5 years?
I'm gonna go with 17 years.
17 years? Ambitious. I like it.
4.5 years and 1 penny.
Sorry? 17 years and 1
Price
penny.
is Right joke and 1 penny.
17 years in one day.
And 1 day.
So to throw a kink in some of those equations, do we count Tasmania?
I believe this piece of trivia does. Does that alter your answer?
I didn't know there was
so
any reason
I
not.
have no
I
idea.
mean, look, it would come down to what people define as a beach. If it's the stuff we name versus the beaches that are actually there, because there are so many countless nameless beaches that are just hidden away. I'd say it would take you the better part of 15 years to get through all of them if you could only visit one a day. And you know, yeah, if you only visit one a day.
Random's looking pretty good over there. The 17 years in a day.
The source that I'm drawing from, I'm thinking it's counted named beaches, and it says here 29 years. Australia has 10,685 beaches.
Wow.
Shazam. Well, did they factor in leap years, man?
Probably. Yeah. I love leap years.
Going overboard.
What if we started the leap year?
I got to the US on a leap year. I left here 6 a.m, Monday, February 29th, 2016, and I got to Ernie's house in Lake Geneva Monday, the 29th of February, 2016 at 6 p.m. So only 12 hours, but somehow I spent 35 in the air and in the car. So I love leap years. My great aunt is a leap baby. She last year celebrated her 22nd birthday. She loved her. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Wow.
She doesn't look a day over 80.
That's it.
And also, there's great white sharks on all those beaches lurking, right?
I think I'm not sure about the Northern Territory. I want to say there's definitely in WA. Like there's been a massive surge of great whites down where I am. More specifically, if you go to the very, very south of where I am, there's a place called Bremer Bay. It's actually one of the biggest predatory marine research facilities in the world. And every year, literally thousands of great whites and killer whales and stuff gather around this massive trench and feed, and they do tours of it all the time. And then shortly after, obviously, there's sighting just down the coast, like literally 20 minutes from my house. It's like sighting of a great white shark, another sighting, and another sighting, and another sighting. Recently, there was a dad and a kid in an inflatable boat fishing, and they saw a great white just sort of pass under their boat, and they're like,
Oh.
don't want to be in a rubber boat.
I mean,
Alrighty, we have.
that's the whole reason whenever I go into the ocean, I always make sure there's a blonde and a jock between me and the open water.
We have one last question, one last trivia question, actually, and it comes from the audience, Mac Bluff again. Do you all know Uluru? So if someone said Uluru, and again, Michael might have to leave you to last because I'm pretty sure you do. Carlos, you may. So I'll throw it to Stefan and Brandon first. But do you know what Uluru is?
Yeah, that's the metal that Thor's hammer is made out of.
See,
I think we should give him the point just cause.
Oh, that's great.
We have drinks on every other Tuesday. Me and Uluru, we go down.
That's the name for the system of measurement in Australia.
Sure.
I love it. I love it.
What would you say after getting punched by a kangaroo? Uluru!
Then you hand me the Uluru, please. I gotta measure something.
Actually, all things considered, Stefan, you're not that far off because we have a word that is both a place and a measure of distance. It's called Wagga Wagga. Because if something's in Wagga Wagga, right? It's not in a place, but there is a place called Wagga Wagga. It's just so far away that's what we say when something's too far to get to. So it's both. You know, that's not a bad guess. I'd say that's a decent guess.
Yeah,
we have words like
Alrighty.
that.
Anyone else want to have a guess? If you genuinely don't know the answer, have a guess.
I'm about 90% sure I know the answer, so I can throw one out, but I'm not 100% sure.
All right. Shall I do a show and tell for the answer? Because the show and tell's always cool for the answer for this question. Uluru, also known as Ayers Rock. It is a massive monolith of rock in the center of Australia.
Oh, that's amazing.
Wow. Well, that's where the Close Encounter ship should have landed.
Yeah.
Or it is the Close Encounter ship with rocks buried over it.
Of course, I don't think it's very populated, so it would be the sort of far away encounter.
Actually, really great.
The whole fleet could land on that rock.
Is that a sacred site to the Aboriginal people?
It is. Once upon a time, you used to be able to climb up the top. There was a chain link fence that you'd sort of help follow and all the rest of it. I've never been up there, only because I'd love to say like cultural appreciation, and I didn't want to do it. At the time that my family visited, I was 10. Dad said to me, "Hey, do you want to go up to the top?" I'm like, "No," and he's like, "You sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't want to go up top there." And it was mainly because I'm scared of heights. I found out later that my mum is not too bad with heights. My dad, my sister, myself, we don't like heights, and I found out much later that Dad didn't really want me to say yes because he really didn't want to go up there. The ranger also said it was a bit windy and you had to really hang on to this chain link to get yourself up there, sort of thing. Yeah, I've never been to the top, and they've since stopped climbing up there. You can still, I mean, obviously,
yeah.
You can. This is obviously a shot from air.
To look down, right? The way down is worse.
Yeah, it's
How
it's
high
definitely.
is that?
Let's see if I
That's
can
more
get
trivia
some.
from Stefan. How high is it, Heath? Can I have a guess?
It touches God. Goes all the way to heaven.
I think it's almost like a kilometer. So what's that? 2/3 of a mile.
What?
I'm just gonna look for it now.
About 3,000
Here
feet.
we go. Here we go. Uluru, or Ayers Rock, is a massive sandstone monolith in the heart of Northern Territory's arid red centre. The nearest large town is Alice Springs, 450 kilometres away. That's about 300 miles or thereabouts. Uluru is sacred to Indigenous Australians and is thought to have started forming about 550 million years old. Elevation, 863 metres. So that's probably 400 or 500 feet.
Oh, wait, a meter.
A meter is like 3 feet. It's like our yard.
That's way more. 860.
Oh, yeah, no, so I'm doing that the wrong way
You're doing
around.
no.
Half a mile.
3 times that.
Yeah, it's tall.
1.6. Yeah, about half a mile.
That's like 2,400 feet.
Yeah, a little bit more. Yeah, half a mile, like you're saying. That's a tall rock.
That is
half a mile.
That's tall.
That's
Yeah,
a pretty
That's because
amazing thing.
That's like New York City.
2,830 feet.
yeah.
Is it
So a long time ago,
2,830
a long time
feet.
ago, the first murder hobos were born in the center of Australia, and the GM had had enough.
Oh my God.
Foxfall!
That'll do it.
And let this mark the place where it should never happen again.
Is it relatively easy to get to that site? Not that I would want to clamber around or do anything disrespectful, but it'd be an amazing thing just to be able to put your own eyeballs on it, as it were.
Yeah. The easiest way, if you were to come to Australia, the easiest way to go there would be to basically from Melbourne or Sydney or wherever you flew into, then fly to Alice Springs or directly to the Yulara airfield, and then get a helicopter flight around the top of it. That's the quickest way to do it. Otherwise, you can drive from Sydney or Melbourne, take 3 or 4 days to get there, or 2 days if you're like my father coming down from the Northern Territory to Adelaide for Christmas time. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
So that'll be 3 weeks by camel.
Are there speed limits out there in the?
Everywhere. Yes. In the Northern Territory, we enjoy an open speed limit. Every other state has limits, usually 100 or 110k, which is about 70, 80 miles.
And it's only a suggestion.
Yes.
Yes.
After your third day out in the desert, right? You're just like, fuck it.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why the territory has an open speed limit, a lot of and the Nullarbor probably should as well, is it is literally straight flat road.
No curve.
You could go for miles with very little elevation or change in your steering.
But if you're not careful, all of a sudden you'll see emus in the back window going, woo! All over.
You're all good unless there's a camel lying on the road.
Or a kangaroo crosses.
Yeah.
That's it.
Actually,
ready to mug you.
The actual technique, and this is going to sound horrible, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, is they tell you that if you are driving at that kind of speed, is no matter what animal you hit the gas. You don't brake ever, from the velocity.
Or try and steer around. Don't because that's when you will overcorrect and roll your car. If you are going at 100k an hour and you think, oh my God, I'm going to hit that, don't deviate, because when you do that, you will flip the back out, and then when you try to correct, you will chances are overcorrect and the car will flip.
Wow.
Is the wombat,
they say
is the wombat low enough to the ground that it would flip the car anyway, just in the front direction? Or is the center of gravity high enough that you could pick it up with the car and the car would toss it?
Yeah, you'd know. I don't know. I think
there are lots of rumors.
Yeah, in a sedan, you'd probably, big crunch in the front end.
I can do that to a little bit of a degree. My wife's best friend actually took out her entire transmission by hitting a wombat.
Yep.
Wow.
There you go.
Yeah.
They're tough little animals.
I don't even know how to drive.
He's such a New Yorker. It's true.
Alrighty, we are coming up on 3 hours. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming and sticking with us. I got a note halfway through from Steve Chenault that he couldn't make it, and he apologised, and from Casey Rift, and he apologised. But when your wife springs a secret date on you, you clear the roster.
Yeah.
So we'll let him slide on that. Steve's got a plate full with some Kickstarters, so we'll let him slide for that as well. But I just want to do a quick. Thank you very much for joining me. It's been wonderful. I appreciate, Brandon, it's probably 1 a.m. there or something like that. Carlos, it's probably the same. Stefan and Anne, I know you guys have got jet lag. Thank you very much for hanging around. I reckon each take maybe 2 minutes. Give me just a final wrap on what you like best about gaming, and we'll leave it at that. Anyone jump in?
I'll say the best thing that I like about gaming are people like you. and the people who are watching. It's like, it really is about the community, and the fantasy is fun and the games are fun and learning the rules is fun, but really it's about the connections you make. And that's what I'll treasure.
Game has taught me so many things in my life. It taught me language skills. It taught me reasoning skills. It taught me social skills I never would have had. I owe an immense debt to the game and to the Gygax family for that I could never truly repay. But for me, the greatest thing about the game is the ability to make personal connections. Like Anne said, the friendships I've made throughout my time in the game, and now with a little bit more of a platform, the ability to give back. These are all things that I've had an ability to do thanks to the game, and it's something it's indelibly marked my life.
Absolutely. Stefan?
You know, I want to repeat all those things, the camaraderie, the friendships. And then I had another thought. Like, Dungeons and Dragons made me interested in things that I probably would not have been interested in before. Like cities, like how they're run, you know, map making, history, all kinds of things that in school were boring as hell. Dungeons and Dragons made me interested in, you know, economy and, you know, all kinds of things that you read in the Dungeon Master Guide. Like, oh my God, if I make my own world, I have to know about this. And now I'm motivated and interested to know about it because I'm trying to make a world. It got me interested in a lot of things I wouldn't have been interested in, you know.
That's a great answer. Brendan? Brandon, sorry, not Brendan. Sorry, Brandon. I apologize if I've been calling you Brandon all night. Brandon.
I mean, don't worry. I agree with community, and I would also add the opportunities, especially now that the game has exploded the way it has. There's such a wide audience for it that it's growing as kind of a beyond what it was built originally to be. So you've got a lot of people, artists and map makers, and hey, Luke, and writers, and so many people who are inspired by this game and creating even more content. So that's something that I love about it as well. There's so much opportunity that comes from this community and from this game.
Awesome. Michael?
The best thing about Dungeons and Dragons is Hero Quest. No, sorry.
My sword.
Oh man, I swear to God, like, you know, of all the people I want to play with, if I could find this person who made that video. But I think for me, it's literally being someone who uses RPGs as a tool to help people, especially young people. You know, for me, I don't view it as something that I do to be magnanimous or to be special or to kind of, you know, reach out and change people's lives. It never has been. It does it by itself. It changes people. It makes people, you know, feel comfortable in their skin, whether it's playing something from their imagination that they truly envisage themselves being able to do to conquer things that may not be able to happen in the real world, or if it's just a way to express yourself in a world that still may not necessarily accept the way that everyone happens to perceive themselves. It's a platform that I think, despite wherever you come from, no matter what race, religion, political view, wherever you come from, there is that common ground that you have when you get into role-playing games, and Dungeons and Dragons has brought all these people to the same space where everyone has just absolute love and respect and just this desire to be a part of this amazing thing that we all do.
Great
that
answer.
For me is the best part.
Yeah, great answer. Cool. Alrighty, I guess you know, you've all echoed my sentiment. I think gaming just inclusivity and acceptance of who people are, and the fact that when people get around the game table and having fun and that sort of thing. Look at this. Bingo. Luke's just about to, like you're reading my mind. Everyone's reading my mind tonight. Forges. I was just about, I literally, like Luke, you've just read my mind. You have literally read my mind. I was just about to say it creates and keeps friendships. As a kid growing up in the Northern Territory, to be friends with yourselves, with Luke, with people, it was something that as a kid reading a book and playing a bit of D&D with some friends, where if we didn't understand something, we just made it up and we whatevered. Without something like that, I think I'd still be some kid working at like the supermarket in the Territory or something like that. I came down here, went back home, and there was things there, but there was friendships down here from the first time I was at uni that brought me back down here to find something so that I could be with those people to continue that gaming friendship. Otherwise, I'd be just some kid working at a shop in the Territory, and that'd be me. It sort of, it lets you fly your nerd flag with compassion and honor. Alrighty, thank you very much. We are 10 seconds away from 3 hours. It has been an absolute blast having all five of you on here. Thank you. And we'll. It's going to be a tall order to who I'm going to have on episode 5.
I guess Stephen Chenal and Casey Rift.
Yeah, they've got large boots to fill.
Off the hook, man. No.
Large boots to splash as well. All right.
Thank you so much for inviting us. We had a great time.
Thanks for having me.
It's a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Great, and Michael, it was a pleasure meeting you guys for the first time.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome meeting you guys.
Woo. Gary Khan.
Yes, Gary Khan.
Not sure if you saw Luke before, but I put up a picture of 330 Center Street. It was great. Alrighty, hang on. I've got comments coming through that I should post quickly here before we disappear, because if not for people looking, I wouldn't be doing this sort of thing. Truthfully, I'd still be doing this even if there was an audience of one. But I want to say thank you to those who are watching and are commenting and are giving feedback and asking questions. Not only thank you to my guests for being on, but thank you for watching and thank you for interacting both sides of the screen. We do it for ourselves, we do it for others, we do it for legacy, and that's it. Alrighty, thank you very much. My name's Heath. This is the Antipodean D20. Wherever you are in the world, have a fantastic day, have a great morning, have a great afternoon, have a great evening. If you're a shift worker, thank you for tuning in. If you're not a shift worker and it's 2 a.m., go to bed.
Yeah. Great hanging out with everybody.
Cheers.
Guys.
Absolutely.
Cheers.